Hey everyone, welcome to Firefly Devs. It's another live stream, another day, another live stream. It's something I'm trying out again. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday, so we are going to focus on the PBR textures again. I did some work after the live stream yesterday, so I tweaked some of the textures. We'll take a look quickly at what I did. We can decide if it's a good direction to go in, or maybe we'll have to slightly tweak it again. I know it's a lot of tweaking, it's a lot of visual work. There's no mathematical correct way of doing these textures. We just need to find something that works, a way that I can make these textures efficiently and that looks good with the style that we're shooting for. So here we go, we dive in. I'll open up the Restream chat again. Free advertising, because that's what we do here. Anyway, we're opening up the project here. And let's not focus on the design tools just yet. I've removed all of my chunk files. It's a bit cleaner this way, so let's dive into the game, see what I did, and then we'll draft a way forwards. So here we go.
Oh, no,
we're in build alone, the world is empty, which is good. So one thing to note is that for a lot of these textures I added background coloring, sort of like in a style that you see in the existing styles of the game. So in the cartoon and the hand-painted visual style, all of these blocks have got a dark background, and it really adds a bit of contrast and structure to the texture. And it looks good. I mean, this looks pretty sharp, it looks contrasty, it's definitely identifiable as cobblestones, and I added to the cinder as well, so here are the cinder blocks. Especially in dark areas where there's not a lot of light coming in, you still get a bit of definition and structure in these blocks. Maybe take a look at the ceiling here. So you definitely see the outlines of the blocks and the shapes, and it's a style. It's definitely very reminiscent of the cartoon style that's in the game currently. And it works well, it looks good. Of course the lighting itself is still directional and the shadows are still colored using the skybox color, so everything looks more realistic than the currently existing style. But it's also very much alike in a way, so it's a sort of iterative improvement on the existing style. The last thing we did on the live stream yesterday was make a texture for these facing bricks, the horizontal version. I took a quick look at the existing game, like how do those textures deal with the gaps that are in between the stones. So let me get up close with these. Oh, I can't sit in this version, don't worry. Maybe we'll be able to... Oh, we can just build one. Come on, it's a building game, let's go. So let's build a few of these blocks and then we'll talk about the problems that I see or that I face with this block. Alright, so we added a darker background to this. But what I dislike here is the sort of color tone difference between the background and the foreground. The foreground stones, the actual stones, are sort of this bluish gray. So if I take my pointy stick, like the blocks that I'm pointing to here, they are sort of bluish gray or gray. And the background sort of has this warm dark gray look to it. And that's because it's actually done using the albedo. So it's not ambient occlusion, it's not a shadow portion of the block, it's just differently colored. And it works at a distance, it works because you only see the dark portion and it makes the stones stand out really nicely. I mean, it does add a nice amount of separation between foreground and the background stones. But it's a fake effect basically. And in the existing cartoon and hand-painted styles for the game, this is not a problem because we use flat texturing and we don't really have normal maps, we don't have displacement illusions there. In this style, it doesn't work that well. You can see that it's fake, basically. How do we solve this? Well, one trick that the hand-painted visual style does is to add smaller stones in between the larger stones, so sort of filling up this entire area with more stones. Also, the tree shadow is coming in. Don't worry about it, it's the 3 o'clock shadow. Let's move over to the wall then. Don't worry about it. So, again, here we are. We can fix the problem sort of by adding more stones, more foreground stones, and filling up the pattern. That's not a problem. It's easier said than done, but it can be done. Overall, the texture looks good, like the style looks pretty good, and the effect is nice. But one thing I'm worried about is that it's maybe too much. Like the contrast is too much and it's faked. It still looks good. I mean, the directional lighting looks good, and that's something that we'll always keep. So we're not losing that whatever we do with the textures. But I feel the textures have got too much contrast now. But if we lower the background color, if we make it less dark, so decrease the contrast in colors, then suddenly you sort of lose the definition in the material. And Roger said, wow, that's an upgrade. Hey, that's an upgrade, hopefully. Roger, welcome. Roger, you might have noticed this is not the regular Angeldust Live, but we're doing Firefly devs, so I'm working on a sort of remastered version of the game, trying to improve the graphics mostly. And this is using PBR, physically based rendering textures, so I will not explain everything from scratch, but just enjoy the ride. I'm working on retexturing the game and making it look better. But hi. Anyway, so I don't really want to fake the textures anymore. And now you might ask, like, what else can you do to make this effect or make the textures look good? Well, if we take these cinder blocks, for instance, I do have a solution for those. So let's place a few of those cinder blocks over here. Basically, the solution consists of not having background pixels anymore. Now, this might sound confusing. Roger says, hearts, Roger. This sounds confusing, but hear me out. Not having background pixels anymore. We could potentially go for a slightly different style, where we sort of drop the cartoonish outlines of these blocks and go with a sort of more mathematically correct interpretation of what the block should look like. And this sounds very, very cold and technical, and it is, but it would allow us to get rid of the background problem and use only ambient occlusion and normal mapping, sort of, for all of the materials. I haven't really looked at all of the textures just yet, but I think it can be done. And let me sort of draw a quick explanation of what I mean. So let's exit out of the game. We can leave this wall up here. So let's options and quit here. Let's do Photoshop, don't worry about it. We're just going to draw a very simple, let's just create a big scratch area. Like this. Okay, so here we can draw. So the idea is that we have a texture. Let's use a brush, simple brush. So this is our texture, right? Cinder blocks as an example. Even though the cinder blocks do not really exhibit the problem. But cinder blocks, the small version sort of looks like this. We have a stone right here, and there's another stone above it. And then we have three stones, one that sort of connects to this side of the block of the texture, one that connects to this side of the block. Hey Firefly, it looks like a face. It sort of does. Right, so this is, very roughly speaking, the cinder blocks texture that's currently in the game. And if we fill in the pixels, like foreground, background separation. Hi Firefly, hi Wendy. How are you doing? We're back, we're texturing again, and here's a plan that I'm working on. Hey everyone, welcome, good morning. Good afternoon, I don't know what time it is in your place, but there we go, Ruwan is here. Ruwan working on the PBR textures again, and I'm sort of trying to explain something. So in all of the textures that we have this background foreground separation. So the stones are like the protruding part, the part that's like raised, and the background is sort of in the background. And you can clearly see this if I open up the game one more time.
No time to waste, let's go.
Yeah, we're working on these 3D PBR textures, Ruwan. It's an alien balaclava. It sort of looks like it, doesn't it? Get out. Welcome to the live stream, by the way. Okay, so let me slightly tweak this window. It's an alien balaclava. Okay, I can see where you're going. This is what the alien terrorists would wear. But it's this texture that you can see in the middle of the screen, sort of. But I want to get rid of this background color in there. So what we can do instead is to make it sort of a perfect mathematical representation of that block. So if this is the texture, again, we want to avoid any background pixels. So we don't want any background pixels. I mean, it works for the cartoon style, but it will not work for this style. So what we can do instead is to like, and I'm going to do this very mathematically accurately, perfectly. We can just say, okay, this is going to be the entire bottom stone, and this is going to be the entire middle stone, and this is going to be the left part of the top stones, and this is going to be the right part of the top stones, and do it like this. See? Suddenly we get rid of all of the background pixels, so there are no gaps anymore between the bricks, which is sort of realistic in the sense that real life bricks don't have like centimeter wide gaps between them. Okay, and I know, like old ruin stones, like if you go to ruins in what you might have, like Inca ruins, and like, what's the country? I don't know, you've got Machu Picchu or something, you've got old Roman ruins in what, Italy? I think Rome is in Italy, right? Yeah, it is. I know that those have gaps, but it's not a style or something that we can do in this engine because you don't have displacement, so we can't really make relief visually. So I think this is sort of an approach that works within the technical limits that we have, and maybe even for the style that we have. We still get ambient occlusion, so we will still round off these stones, so there will be sort of like round corners to this, visually, slightly. But they will be ambient occluded, so they will get darker naturally, because they are sort of like recessed into the texture. Yeah, my mouse cursor isn't really aligned with the pixels that I'm painting here, but don't worry about it. So there will be, because we're still going to use the sort of balloon effect on it, so there will be these nice smooth edges on there, like this. But we will get rid of like a lot of background pixels. Let me try to do it a bit like this. Yeah, there we go. Looks pretty good, right? Of course, we're working with the cinder blocks here, which is the block that is like most perfect for this style, for this idea. I tried this. It looks amazing. It looks sort of pixel arty because we are jamming everything into a grid, and it looks solid. It looks really good for the cinder blocks. I can try to remake it live on the stream so that we can take a look. Like the upside is that it gets rid of these very dark lines in the block. What happens if I place a lantern? Okay, sort of, sort of. It gets rid of these very dark background lines and that fake contrast that we introduced by having the albedo channel in the back. It's a perfect solution. But the problem is, how do we sort of like, Roger says, wow. So the problem is, how do we convert this to other textures? Because yesterday we worked on the planks. And let me draw a quick plank texture here. So for the wooden planks, what would we do? We would get this same sort of like general bottom area. Then we have a secondary row of planks. I think the planks have got 3 rows, or what is it? Ruin stone, wooden planks. Over here. Okay, maybe let's place 2 planks over here. For the wooden planks too, I added the dark background. And it looks a lot better, see? And we still have the reflective nails in there, so that's good. And yeah, the wooden planks have got 3 layers of planks. So it's not really like this, it's... How can I... So this is more like over here, and then this one sort of separates the top half. Like this. And then this one is the full plank, this one is sort of centered in the middle, exactly. And this one is over to 1/3 or so. So mathematically, I think it would be nicest if we had this one over at 2/3 and this one over at 1/3. I think that this is sort of like the best. Or is it, I'm not sure. We could like use the original lines with one sort of in the center and one sort of over to 1/3. Maybe that's more playful, I don't know. But anyway, so this would become the plank texture with very slightly rounded corners again. So again, whoop, like this. It takes a bit of visualization, fantasy, to sort of understand where we're going with this. But again, it's trying to eliminate background pixels so that the material shines in full. Like this. Looks good. I mean, why are we not doing this? Because there are a lot of textures that just don't maybe work with this. But here's the idea. What we're going to have to do anyway is to make a grass texture. And now if I open up the grass texture, the original one in the current game, so let's open up a Finder window and go to a second one, Documents, Artwork Production, Cartoon, Blocks, Grass, and the grass texture. Again, in the original style, grass has got this sort of layered appearance to it with a background, like this is the background color. We would want to get rid of that for any style, because this is a natural block. We don't really want to have a separation in colors between foreground and background, I believe. So we should probably make a displacement map out of this and then see what it looks like. And if that looks good, I sort of want to shoot for making all of the materials have the least amount of background pixels possible, while still retaining a good sense of the material itself. It's all very technical. This is like the best drawing that I can make to show you sort of the difference between the current style, cartoon, and what we would be shooting for. So we would want to shoot for a style that's somewhat like this. So trying to get rid of those background pixels, making the lines between elements thinner, and we would still get shading on this. So the shading is like the upside of this new engine. So let's get the most amount of shading possible on each block. Ambient occlusion, normal mapping, it's gonna be amazing. And there will be textures that will be that will change appearance, and maybe we go with a very rigid style initially, and then we can add some playfulness to it. But I think going with sort of a mathematical approach to the textures might be fun. It might add some sort of like different character to the world, and it might be a good idea. So let me just save this image for posterity. So we'll save it on the desktop one more time. Good afternoon. Hey Lynx, how are you doing? Let's call this style ID number 1. Lynx, I did some work on the textures yesterday. I will specifically for you show a quick demo here. I added some darker backgrounds to some of the textures. So the facing bricks now have this dark background. The cinder blocks have the dark background. The wooden planks, I also added a darker background, which is a nice style. It's very consistent, but I don't like it, basically. So that's what I was talking about, or that's what I was showing with my diagram. We have these textures that have a lot of background, foreground differences, sort of, and I'm faking this background ID. Like this dark background. It looks good at nighttime, but it doesn't look good at daytime, because you can see that it's a fake albedo trick that we use. So an idea that I have is to use a different texture style where we just mathematically define the shapes sort of the texture and then have no background at all. So we get more material color shining through. And I know it sounds dumb, but it's like the best idea that I've got currently. So I want to try it. But I want to start off sort of with the grass texture, see if we can make that one look good without having any background color. And if that works, maybe we can try to match the cinder blocks and the cobble and other blocks to that. Oh yo, hey Alexi, how are you doing? So I can't really keep explaining this to everyone who visits, but we're going to do the grass texture next. So we're going to work on the grass texture today, initially. That's and we want it to be entirely grass. We don't want to have albedo tricks in there. We don't want to have like fake ambient occlusion or something. We will layer this material and we will make it look good. Alexi is going to move to PC and back. Sounds like a plan, Alexi. All right, so it is layered though. So it is layered, and we need to. We don't need to anything, but we do want to add pizzazz to this. We need to make this texture come alive. We can probably throw this into Pixplant and see what it looks like. So we can already try this. We can just take this and try to fake it as a displacement map. So let's see what that looks like. Sort of the baseline grass effect that we get. Throw it in there. It's going to look a bit fake probably. Okay. It's sort of hard to get light on here. Well, it's not too bad. I mean, I can see that it's sort of grassy. Now we did also enable the smoothing effect, so maybe that already gets rid of a lot of noise. See, it looks sort of grassy, and like grass in Angeldust in this game isn't specifically like blades that are standing up. It's also like blades that are just laying flat on the ground. It's just covered with grass blades, sort of. Let's disable the displacement because we only use normal mapping. It's a start. Let's just see what it looks like. It's kind of grassy. Hey everyone, you are kind of grassy. So let's make a folder and let's just throw this one in there. And then we can try to improve it iteratively. Grass. And of course we need to have a grass variations folder. That's sort of like the way we work. And let's just instantly save this one to our folder and call it grass PBR displacement. Boom. Sure, embed your ICC profile. I don't care. I don't care. Let's get the process working. Let's save it as 480 grass PBR displacement. So all of our files are in place. We close all of them and we do it just one more time. Open the grass, boom, disable displacement. We smooth it out, that looks good. We save this as the grass PBR normal.png. I think that is the right name. Then we extract a ambient occlusion map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, this is exactly what I mean. In the ambient occlusion, we already get this depth effect. So you can already see the layering in the leaves sort of like come to life here. Doesn't look good, doesn't look perfect just yet, but we're running with this and we're just going to see what it looks like in the engine. We have to call this one grass PBR AO, ambient occlusion. So ambient occlusion means the amount of natural light, like surrounding light, that is being occluded. So where light cannot touch the surface. And then we need a white albedo, which we can probably copy. Oh, we don't have many white albedos anymore. Let's just make our own one then. Because I don't have a lot of drawing skills, but I can draw a white rectangle. Let's go 480, 480. Save it as grass PBR albedo. And forgive me if I'm going slightly too fast here. Yo, welcome back, Alexi. But we're still trying to make something happen here. So let's call this grass PBR material base and grass PBR material. We don't have to change the base, but we have to change. No. I don't want to go to the link. I want to relink it. Grass base place, boom, and then we add the ambient occlusion in the alpha channel. If you want to have more details on this entire process, see the Firefly dev channel. There's a lot of stuff to digest over there. We've got transparency enabled, so we have grass PBR material. Then we add it to the texture sheet. It's in regular, so it's not in foliage. Foliage is more the trees and the objects that are in the game world. And it should be on here. Yeah, so we've got a grass thing over here. Save the project, publish the sprite sheet. and now you already know what's gonna happen. We are going to convert it. Documents, Angeldust, go generation. Make, this updates the definitions, and then we go into Angeldust, artwork, textures, PBR, game world, and we convert regular TIFF. There we go, boom. So, if all went well, we now have a basic grass texture that we can look at and enjoy. And it's over here. It's not over here. Because we forgot to add it to the material definition. It's early in the morning, come on, give me a break. Blocks, natural materials, grass, and we just have to add texture name, PBR style, grass, PBR, boom. We need to make this again, and there we go. See, it updated the materials.cpp. This takes a bit of time to compile, 5 seconds or what. There we go.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
Here, we've got grass. And you can see the layering in it, and there's ambient occlusion going on, and in all, it's a pretty nice effect. And because of the properties of the material itself, it's very specular, so it's got this nice highlight. It's the roughness is pretty low, and it looks like wet grass on a Saturday morning. Sort of like if I look outside, out of my window right now, and here, see the nice reflections that you get from the grass. You don't really see this, well, it is there, even without a texture, but you don't really see it because we don't have the ambient occlusion channel and we don't have the normals, but it adds just a touch, see, a touch of grassiness to it. I'm already liking this. Raise your hand in chat if you like this. Raise your hand in chat if you're there at all. If you're there at all, that's nice to know. See the sun reflection on this as well? It's pretty good. And it's still inspired by the cartoony style, of course. Now, some might say that we could run with this. I think we can improve it slightly. See if we can add a bit more like layering to it. Everyone says, I need my glasses. 1 second. Okay, we will wait for you, buddy. We can wait all day long. But I like the effect, the style. And Alexi informs us, AD, which probably stands for Angeldust, Lands of Doom, was stopped right now. There are no programmers. Get it out, doesn't raise their hand, but they give it a thumbs up. Okay, that's good. Thumbs up, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm sorry to hear that, Alexi. You had big plans. Hey, maybe you can learn programming. Like I learned programming. Maybe you don't even need programming. Maybe if you use an existing engine, you can probably like just click components together and you get a basic shooter. You can build the levels in Angeldust, export the mesh, and then use it as your level geometry. I can see this happening. Ruan says, alright, okay, Ruan, here we go. So, do you like the effect? It's about the effect. Maybe not yet the entire texture, maybe not like everything. But does this look grassy to you? And if we move into the more shadowy parts, like this, the structure that's there. Now, one thing that you don't get to say is that it looks plasticky. Because we had that comment all day yesterday. It's probably tweakable, or like we don't even mind. The smooth effect. No, it's about, do you like the grass? Like the way that the light reflects on it and the way that it looks. Does it feel grassy to you? Because it feels grassy to me. We can hop around the world for a bit. Maybe we'll find some different types of grass. I was just about to say it looks like tennis camp grass. Okay. I have no idea what tennis camp grass is. Tennis grass, like on Wimbledon. It looks better, Wendy Simple says, but need to give some touch. Oh, the light effect. It looks a bit glossy. You look a bit glossy. Okay, it's a bit, but imagine it's wet grass. It's wet. It's sort of like the dew is still on it. And we've got different kinds of grass. So if we find savanna grass, it's more dull and it's more dried out. So it sort of indicates freshness. We were in the forest. You see, this is a lot less glossy, I believe. I think it should be. Yeah, it's sort of less glossy here. But hey, it was a first start. It was a first start. Let's not judge it too much. It looks a bit glossy. So maybe I'm in the minority here, but I like where this is going. It's a good start, I'd say. Okay, we agree on something. Let's see, this is another foresty bit. It's a good start. It's a good start. Because I like the glossiness in the dark portions here. I like the sort of wetness that it radiates. I like to see here with the comment that you were not allowed to say the P word, plastic. It's not plasticky. It looks like that fake grass they use on tennis camp. I have no idea what tennis camp means. What is a tennis camp? Okay, so much about getting any actual work done. Tennis camp. Grass. Images. Okay, sure. Okay, this sort of looks like it. Give me a break. Alright, I'll give you a break. Okay, so here we go. We are going to try and make it look better. And here's the deal. So we have multiple layers. Do we want to start with the bottom layer or with the lowest layer? Like, there's not much we can do about this. And this. And this. And this. Right, so my first point of improvement is the following. Hi Marek, how are you doing? First point of improvement is the following. We have this layering, which is good. Kagdila, it's going well. How are you doing, Marek? 6-leg spiders. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because we don't have specularity in the existing engine or textures, we sort of need to add this effect manually, but we are going to use proper displacement for this. Okay, that was not exactly what I wanted. So we need to make all of the things the same. So let's just select all of the same fill color and then fill it up with this. There we go. So we want to get rid of that specularity effect because that's just going to mess up the entire displacement map. And it would be nice if we could sort of like add all of these shapes together, like this and this and this, into one. Okay, that's good. That's exactly what I wanted. And I want this one. What's the easiest way to... What is this over here? Fake news. Did I remove stuff that we could actually see? I don't think so, right? It gives a natural touch. A normal map for any sticker block? Huh? What are you talking about? Normal map for any sticker block. So I'm first merging all of these shapes together so we end up with a simpler shape. Why this one doesn't work escapes me. Okay, that's good. And this? You don't want that, you don't like this. Boom, merge it. Come on, do it. You know you want to. Okay, that's good. Now you might ask, why are you doing this? Because we will be using a different tool in the near future. Nope. Can we then just remove anchor points here? Nope. Okay, there we go. Boom, it's gone. Then we merge this one. Why is this so horrible? Who made these textures? Space? Okay, that's good. This one we join and merge. That's good. This one doesn't have anything. We can merge this. Merge this one. And hopefully the other ones are already good, the other layers. But hey, we'll work through it. Here's some fake news. Let's get rid of that. Merge this. And merge this. Okay. So we should now have simple shapes, except for this thing over here. Sticker decal block, no idea how it's called normally. But what about it, Alexi? What about it? Like, everything will get a normal map that fits it. But I'm not drawing decals today. We're starting off with the grass texture. If we can get this to work. Okay, there we go, boom. Cleaned up, and then there's only this portion left, and I have no idea what this does. Can we just remove it? There we go, boom. Cleaned up, okay. We're making progress. Well, okay, okay. No, I mean, I can only do one thing at once. I can hop from one texture to the other, come on. Focus, young Jedi. Now we need to merge all of these shapes into one, so we want this portion, move it. I like to move it. Suddenly we're in inches, no one knows why, but we're in inches, so let's move to pixels, there we go, boom. We move this one 640 pixels to that side, and apparently the artboard is a different size, so we're 671 pixels. That's nice, my dear. 671. And we join this shape together. And we need to be wary of mismatches like this. There we go. And there we go. And then we also join this shape with that one, but it needs to be a little bit higher up like this. Merge these. And we're going to have to do this for every single texture. So prepare yourselves. It's going to be horrible. This one is misaligned. We don't know why. Alrighty then. Now you can already see that we're having more troubles here. So this one needs to go down. 6, 7, 1. And then this should be one plan. And we have to do this on every single layer. Oh, this one is easy. This one is going to be hard. And this one is easy again. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But maybe we can only do like super detailing on the top layer. Merge these things. Okay, they don't connect at all, so maybe let's not connect them. What's up with this anchor point? Why is everything so horrible? No, no. Stop it, stop it. Okay, that's better. And then here's a weird part that we want to get rid of. See you everyone. Enjoy the weekend. I hope at least. Okay, that's a shape. That's something that we have. Then the hardest one is this one. The texture is sus. Yeah, thank you. I'll try to have fun texturing. It's the same stream every time. We always run into horrible problems, and it's just... it's never gonna work. It's never gonna work. Does it mean that I won't try? There we go. So this is a 4-part grass thing. Join, 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 join. Boom. It's just always pain. Also, what's up with this line? See, this is totally messed up. Okay, so let's get rid of this anchor point here. And then we just try to make this go in a straight line like this. Right, alright. Copy this one back over, move it to minus, and then we copy 2 of them to the top. And we want to keep the original, of course. Transform, move. Okay, that's good. We want to copy this one to the top as well. And this one has to go to the left side. Stop, stop, stop. Okay, so now we want to add some shading to this. And this is going to be the tricky part. This is why we were assigned this task. We want to add some shading to this. I'm not sure if a gradient is gonna look good. So what happens if we add a radial gradient to this? And then we could say that the raised portion happens somewhere around here or so. And then we would add another stop. Like there. See? Okay, bear with me. This is an idea. Like making the plant, like the bottom of the plant is darker, and then so this should be a little lighter on the edges, so that it has a bit of depth to it. Like this. I mean, it could work. It could work. Maybe it's a bit too extreme in the center. What are the colors of the other layers? Like it should be a little bit lighter still, I think. Okay, okay. And can we reuse that for this one? Okay. Can we reuse it for this one? Sure. And for this one? It's not bad. It's not bad. But then I sort of want to add the inner glow as well. So let's add the inner glow effect with a multiplication, and then we just slightly, very slightly taper out the edges. So let's see, 100%, 24 pixels, sort of, maybe, darker. (32 pixels? Too much. 16 pixels? Better. So let's disable this. The idea being that this sort of adds a bit of depth to the entire thing. I can dig it. Maybe slightly more. 20. Now, does this feel good? Here's the question. If we overlay it on top of the other ones, like it's certainly a bit darker than the rest. Will I get the dragon if I buy the 3D version? Lynx asks. No, the dragon is independent of the version that you're playing, I'm afraid. Oh, here we go again. We cannot copy the floppy because of reasons. Does this work? Can I click on this now? Okay, okay. Then we put this in the trash. I can't donate, so I guess I'll just finish my wonder when I have proper time. Yeah. Hey, we can look for alternative ways of donating. Like, I'm open to ideas, but it's it's not like I can give you a dragon because you bought the 3D version. There are a lot of people who bought the 3D version that do not have a dragon. But I appreciate you trying. Okie dokie. So what happens if we run with this? We move this one over to the side, and then we move them to the top. And this one needs to go over to the top. over the top. And this one needs to go to the left side. Like this. Okay. Bottom layers. So let's see what happens with this. It's a subtle effect. And we only did the top layer of the grass blades. But it might just add the required amount of depth to the texture. It will at least get rid of some of the artificially induced like triangles that we saw because of the specular thing. Grass displacement. Really hard to tell. Let's disable this. Okay. There's more dynamic layering going on. That's what I can tell you. There's more dynamic layering going on. Not sure if that's a good thing, but let's smooth out the material map like this. The normal map, sorry, and save it. And let's see what it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's some noise being introduced now. I can already tell that's probably not the final version of the texture, this one. And Alexi says, I can't buy Angeldust 3D, not because I don't have money, but simply because I cannot. Ooh. That's weird. Well, weird, that's unfortunate. And weird. So do note that the problem is probably not on my side. I just used that Google Play Store thing. And that's all. Like, I'm innocent. I didn't sanction anything. Here we go. It's smoother. Okay, you can... Yeah. Let me zoom in here. Pixel zoom. The transitions on the grass blades are definitely smoother. So there's a more... It's layered better and there's less of those weird triangle things going on. So that's good. And maybe like anything that we add to the texture from here on out is just too subtle. You can already see the pillowing effect that we sort of liked on the other textures. So maybe we can just add a bit of pillowing effect to the other blades. I know, okay Firefly, now it's better. It looks a bit less artificial, and maybe we just add a bit more of that pillowing effect to some of the grass blades, and then we're Gucci. And so far we did it without using the albedo channel, so that's a good thing. That's very good. So let's remove, we're not going to remove things, but okay, that's the top layer. Then I think the second layer is going to be very simple as well. So let's just add a bit of pillowing effect to this. Can we just merge all of these shapes? Oh, this one works much better. Good work, Space. Good work. Is this a group? Appearance. It is a group. Okay, so let's do them individually. This is a group. A single path. Oh, it's connected here. Let's see what happens if we just add a... what did we use? 20 pixels inner glow? I think it was a 20 pixel inner glow. Multiply. And we used 189, I believe. So let's just use the same kind of effect here. Sort of like tapering out the outward edges. That's pretty consistent. That's pretty consistent. Let's see if we did the right thing here. 20 pixels, 189. Let's just use it for all of them. This is layer 3. This one is going to be a bit harder to do. And this one looks doable. We just merge all of this and then we do the inner glow, 20 pixels, 189, boom. Okay, good. So that's 3 layers with the effect. And now we just need to do layer 4. So only layer 1 has got the actual gradient in there, which might be a bit too much, but I sort of like the effect, so we're just running with it. And right, this is going to be one of the harder layers to do. See if we can merge everything. That's good, at least. Then we ungroup this stuff. This one has to go to the bottom, this one has to go to the bottom, this one has to go to the bottom. Transform, move. Like the sniper in Team Fortress 2, it's be smart, be efficient. We move this one over to that side. One shot, one kill, as they say. There we go. Then we merge these. Look for errors. There are a few small errors here. Boom. 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 And boom. We just use the widest shape available. And this one is also still. This one is just a fraction of a millimeter to the side. Okay, this one is good. Hey Gargolic, is it grass? Yes, Lynx, it's grass. Hey Dragon Lady Myth, welcome. Sorry, I'm deep into updating this texture. We're doing grass indeed. So let me show you what we already have, because this is pretty cool. There's a few new people. Dragon Lady Myth, chat now also shows up on the stream screen. So we're working the PBR visual style. Super cool new stuff, and we're making a displacement map for the grass and making a normal map out of that and ambient occlusion. So the material looks super cool. So yesterday, Gargolic, we worked on the stones. I tweaked a bit of the background colors, like the bricks and all of the stuff. But I have a new idea for a texture style to make it look even better. So there's 4 layers of grass in this texture. And I already added a bit of shading to 3 of them. And now this is the 4th one that we need to sort of tweak. And we want to merge all of these shapes together. Like this and this. It looks nice. Hey, Dragon Lady Myth, you look nice. We can keep that part. Then this is a bit weird, so let's make it a proper line over here, and then this one can connect to that one. That one looks good, that one's okay. I think this can just be a single point, and then we have this weird thing, which is probably weird because we want to move this entire portion. Much better already. Like Spike. Like Spike. Thank you, Crunchy. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Okay, so then we apply the effect to all of these. Oh, this one still needs to be done. Merge it. Boom. Merge it harder. That's a bit optimistic. This is good. I like that line. This is probably useless. This doesn't really spark joy, but we don't have anything better here, so let's move this anchor point there and this there. It's a bit of a weird shape here. Firefly, you have a bit of a weird shape. It's good, it's good. We apply the effect, inner glow, 20 pixels, 189. Boom, depth in this layer as well. That's how we do it, baby. And then we move these ones over to the left. Object, transform, move, -761. Like this. And then we move these 3 over to the top. Move, 0. And Link says, I'm about to buy the 3D version and I can't wait to try it out without lag. Okay. Do it. I hope it works well. You can always, like if you have lag because there are too many players or doodads in the world, you can always fall back to cartoon temporarily. It's in the options menu, you can just instantly switch. But Lynx, it would be awesome if you would buy the 3D version on the Google Play Store. Right, here we go. See this? It's our texture with all of the layering applied. It's a lot of layering. That's a lot of layering. But it looks pretty nice. If you take a look at the navigator over here, so the smaller view, it's a pretty good look. It's very spread out. It doesn't really have that cartoony look to it anymore. So let's try this. We're gonna drop it into the tool. Firefly, you're the tool, I know. Close all. Don't save. Open displacement. That's nice, that's nice. It's very puffy. I like it. I want it. And we're gonna save the normal map. And we're gonna create the ambient occlusion map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so some people have been saying that the game is slightly laggy past few days. Like I've been playing it online in this stream as well. I don't experience it, so it might be an international link somewhere. Not sure if I can fix that really easily. Like, it's not the server capacity or anything. That's like the game is running smoothly as always, but there might be some sort of routing problem somewhere. Let's take a look at the texture. Here we go. It's so smooth and it's got so much layering going on, and it's just amazing grass. Not amazing grace, but amazing grass. Oh, say, can't you see? This is what grass could always have been. My iPad had 3D, but my device was outdated, so it was pretty laggy. Okay. I tried it, like I play it on an iPad 2, which is also very old, and I believe it works pretty well. But I also tried it on a newer iPad, which is definitely much faster. So it needs a bit more oomph, it needs a bit more processing power than the cartoon 2D version. I like it. I think this is perfect. I have bad internet, but not really had lag problems. Okay, that's good to know, Dragon Lady Myth. So some people can play, some people cannot play. Alexi, do you like it? There's nice layering going on, there's a bit of puffiness in there. I like it as grass. And we didn't use any weird albedo tricks. And it still gives off the impression of it being grassy. Now, I'll be the first to admit that, okay, yeah, so the highlights get smeared out a little bit because we use the normal smoothing, which might contribute to the sort of plastic appearance to it, but we can tweak that later on. We'll never tweak it later on, but hey, the idea is nice, the idea is good. But I like the layering. And Alexi says, yep, it's good. Like even in the dark areas, you can still see that this is grass. So we need to visit a wonder that uses grass and some of the other blocks. So let's go online.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go.
And as a testament that I've removed all of my chunk files, you can see that there's nothing visible at the moment. So what wonder do we visit? A random one at first and see what we end up with. Eclixi. This uses grass, so let's go. I can see some grass to the right already. Hey, we've got some grass over here. That's good. The bricks. I think this is mostly an artificial construct here. Take a look at this courtyard. I'm gonna call this a courtyard. The textures, they do work well. I will readily admit that this looks like a nicely updated version of the cartoon textures. Even with the dark albedo trick, especially in the dark, that works, like at nighttime it works really well. The lanterns might be a little bit darkish. Maybe we can tweak that. But overall this looks pretty good with the directional lighting. But we don't have a lot of grass here. Okay, so this is definitely grass in between the other blocks. Looking good, looking good. Let's see if we can move into an area with more grass. Maybe if we venture into the forest. Ooh, I can feel I'm surrounded by grass already. Ooh, there's grass everywhere. Wow. It's so grassy. It's so grassy. Okay, here's a sort of problem. It's not... this is tundra grass, so the problem is not that visually apparent. But I sort of want to introduce a new feature in this engine. Speaking of engines, Link says, what engine do you use? It's a custom built engine. Like everything is built from the ground up to support Angeldust. The voxel landscape and efficient rendering for this type of stuff. Take a look at the highlights on this grass over here. It looks good. It looks good. The material, like the wood bark, is a bit different in style. We will update that later on. I don't see it like grass yet, Gargolic says. Yeah. That's just your opinion, man. Or girl. Maybe when it has a background color. Oh, here we go again. We don't want to fake the background color. That's specifically what I want to avoid here. That's what I want to avoid. No! Please. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the grass. Yeah, so this is the grass texture. Enjoy it. Enjoy. Maybe it's because it's not super grassy in and of itself, but it is grass covered. Grass covered material. I'm not sure what to call it, but you know what I'm saying? It's not grass per se with the grass blades. Oh, also we're missing the grass blades themselves, so don't knock it. Don't knock it yet, just yet. We have the grass blades block decoration, which makes it more grassy, like this rock over here. Maybe we should do the grassy block decoration then, next. Like if I introduce the background color, I'm just afraid that it will start being another fake effect that we add. I don't want to have fake effect. The only thing that I could see working, and this is a long shot, and I'm not sure if we can technically make it work, is to introduce our own ambient occlusion on top of this. Now you might be asking, what are you talking about? I will try to show you. Maybe that's the way to go. Okay, so back to the drawing. Back to the drawing then. I sort of want to open this in Photoshop so I can draw on it. We can try it with grass. I mean, we're trying here. We're trying different things. The reason why this doesn't work, is because it's an albedo thing. So let me draw an A, an L, a B, E, D, O. Okay, I'm not used to drawing with the mouse. But the reason why this doesn't work is because we're using the albedo channel for making these parts darker. And with the grass, Gargolic, like I don't really want to give one person ultimate power over the artwork process, but it's something we can try. This background color makes a difference. I'll readily admit as much. And we're sort of throwing that away, using, like, by doing the texture, the style, we're doing it right now. But we can't use albedo, because albedo will influence the material color. And it's not like the color of the grass is different when it's lower, or like it's not like the background color is different in that texture. That's not what we want. What we do want is to simulate more shadow being there. So if there's light falling directly on it, there's still it will look like the grass color, but if there's no light falling onto it, it will be darker and it will be shadowy. That's what we want to simulate. So what we've been doing so far is using the albedo for these background pixels, sort of. But what we want to do is to, instead of using albedo, we want to use the ambient occlusion there. ambient occlusion, AO, this says. So it can be a one-time experiment on the grass texture. So what we want to do is to have the alpha channel. Good morning, Firefly. Good morning, Gaming Mint. We want to influence the alpha channel of the material map. And these terms, you've heard them all before. We can do a one-time experiment. So we're saving this displacement map, and now we're saving it as grass PBR. Material base. We can use the material base for this, probably. Except that we are going to be using... we want to use the material base for this. So the background needs to be half transparent here, or semi-transparent at least. So what we are going to do is the following. We will be copying over all of this junk, all of the grass blades. We're copying it over to this file. Just like that. Except the file needs to be the same dimensions. So we're making this 761. It's a one-time experiment. So if this works, we can use it for the other textures. If it doesn't work, we need to find something different. Like this. Then we paste the grass blades. I think that's about right. Let's send to the viewport. Yeah, I think it's about right. Except we want to lock this layer and work in a different layer on top of it. Console. Boom, all blades in the same layer. We remove all of the fancy stuff, so we remove all of the effects. So let's do a clear graphic style for everything. There we go. We make them white. And in fact, we can even merge everything together into a single shape. It looks rubbish. I'll say it. It looks rubbish. But what we're now going to do is to use this as our transparency map. So we want the background to be semi-transparent. Could the grass move a very tiny bit? Yeah. Everything can happen. Everything can happen. But first, we're now going to assign the grass to the transparency of this thing. Boom. Like this. And now the background is fully transparent. So we now want to have a sort of semi-transparent. And we need to make sure that we can still get to this square over here. Move it to the back. This is very involved, as you can see, but we're doing it. We're doing it. So we're now simulating more. How do I explain this? The alpha channel, so the transparency channel of this texture, determines how much shadow parts of the texture have. And by making the background, instead of the blades, making the background semi-transparent, we indicate to the engine that there's more shadow in that part. If you take a look at the current material map, it's this one, you will see that the background does have a little bit of transparency going on. It's like the ambient occlusion effect we calculated in Pixplant, but we're going to make that even more shadowy. And it's something that we can still tweak. But this is the new material map base, and we're going to open it up here. So you can see that the background behind the blades is now a lot whiter, which means a lot more shadowy. Let's see what happens with that. So we are somewhat simulating the background being very shadowy. Instead of using albedo to make it darker, we're now adding shadow to it. Because I can. Like, it's only because I know that this can be done that we can try this out.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
So here, if sunlight is falling onto it, you will not see a big difference, but it's in the shadowy parts. There will be much more separation between the foreground and the background. See over here? So the background is now a lot darker, but it's not a darker shade of a material, but it's more shadow that's there. So now the question becomes, does this feel better? Is this better? Is this more glossy? Like when light falls onto it, you of course like have the effect of a grass plane with light on it. You won't see the shadowy effect. It's mostly in the shadow portions. It might be a bit too dark, like in my opinion, but it does add a bit of layering. So maybe we learned something here. Dragon Lady Miss says, I like that. That's good, that's good. I think it should be a bit lighter, so we'll do binary search here. We'll just, instead of going with half, we're going with 3/4 and see where we end up. But for instance, see here, like there's a bit more contrast in it, but it looks like shadow instead of a different material color. And we can try it on the blocks as well. So maybe we just unlocked our full potential here. It's not too bad, it's not too bad. In fact, I like the effect. In fact, I like the effect. So let's do it one more time. We open up the layer, then we select the transparency, we select our square, and we make it a bit lighter. So that's going to be 192, 192, 192. Make it a bit more subtle. This one needs to be updated then. We can close this one. We're still accentuating the transparent portions, but it's not as much, not by as much. Publish it. Converted.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
I'm not sure if you can see my mouse cursor. There's a giant mouse cursor on my screen. Okay, better, better. I think it can be slightly more subtle even, still, but maybe this is just perfect. It adds just a bit of texture to it, and once light is falling onto it, for instance here with the lamp, you can see that the grass really like pops off sort of, but in the shadow portions it looks a bit more like grass. So maybe we should go back to Eclipsy, see what the forest looks like now. Let's do exactly that.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
It's 123. How do I know this? I just know. Well, it does feel more grassy. Like, that's my opinion. Has a bit more depth to it. I can dig it. Like, we don't have these large continuous areas of grass here, but you can see it over here sort of. There's a lot of light here, so we don't really get that shadowy effect. It looks better, but it feels a bit weird that the grass has contrast between the blades in shadow, but not in the light. How to justify this? It's still there, like it's physically based. The effect is still there, even in the light. It's just that there's so much light falling in on the surface that it lights up all of the parts of the material. For instance, imagine this this texture. We can make this part shadowy, the parts in between. We can say, okay, this is lowered way much compared to the original surface. If there's sunlight falling directly into it, it will light up that entire area. Does that make sense? So if there's sunlight falling, we're looking at the texture from the direction of the sunlight here. It will actually light up like all of these parts. Let me use a yellow here. So sunlight falling directly onto this, it will illuminate this stone, but it will illuminate the entire surface. Like everything will be lit by sunlight. That's why the shadow is gone. And that's sort of what we're trying, or like emulating here as well. Everything will light up. The other side of the block, of course, will be in the shadow. And then it's just a matter of how much omnidirectional light is falling into all of these nooks and crannies, because that's sort of the ambient occlusion term. Gargolic says, I see. It's like even these very dark points, they will be lit up if sunlight falls directly into them. Of course, if it's at an angle, like if it's like an angle like this, it will be in the shadow. But if this portion is in the shadow, then this top portion of the block will receive sunlight. And the shadow there will be gone. If I lower the intensity of the light, you will still see the effect much clearer in even lit portions.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go. And now we found the loot.
Valessi, is this the one that we can take a look at, or is this the one that we cannot take a look at? This is the one that we cannot take a look at. So close your eyes, everyone. We're not looking at this one. We're not allowed to watch this wonder. What's another wonder with a lot of grass? I think it's Paxanima? Oh, Dragonthroat Valley. It's got a lot of grass as well. Here we go. 17 is a good one. On the other hand, I do feel a bit... it feels like cheating a little bit. Because we are artificially introducing more shadow into the shadowy portions. And that doesn't feel quite right. Quite right to me. We could exaggerate the displacement map a bit, so make the background a bit darker for more separation. Maybe that's what we do. That's what we try next. So we undo our artificial change. Let's open up this thing. And then we just draw a new layer on top of this. So this has got fake AO. Now we just make a new square on top of this. Boom, we just hide everything. Simple. Then we take the displacement. Separate, yes, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna separate everything here, all the things. So let's make this a lot darker, the background. So, because we can sort of justify this. I'm very good at justifying things, as you've probably already noticed. If you have grass blades, not a lot of grass blades will be lying flat on the ground. So most grass blades will be raised at least a few centimeters, a few inches above the ground before they sort of like spread out. So we can totally justify the fact that the ground, like the actual soil, the dirt where the grass is growing in, is much lower than the sort of place where the blades start to taper outwards. So it's entirely justified that we just halved the brightness of the background. It's entirely justified. We are allowed to do this. So let's save this displacement map and then update the other maps. Nobody tells us what to do. we just make up our own rules. Here we go. See, it still looks like grass blades. And Link says, hello again Firefly, hello again Lynx. I have the 3D version now, but I can't log in. If you forgot your password, there's a password reset box on the website. So maybe that's the problem. It's on Angeldust on the website, and then support, and then you can reset your Angeldust account password. So enter your player name. I can enter my password but can't enter my username. Okay? Okay? What happens? Is the problem that you get this autocomplete feature and that there's only one letter of your input going into the box? the username is blank. And if you click it, this doesn't sound good, but can you click it? Yes, YWS, yes, yes, yes. Do you have any option to switch to a different keyboard temporarily? So disabling autocomplete might do the trick. I've ran into this on one of my phones. Like, it would give a keyboard that was incompatible with the entry thing. If you switch or turn off like the autocomplete thing and just use the regular keyboard just for typing your username once, it will work. I don't know why it doesn't work. Like, I do know why it doesn't work, because it only sends over one character, but some of these keyboards, they are weird like that. See if you can do it. Okay, the background is a bit lighter now. It's interactive troubleshooting here with Firefly. There was also this split keyboard of sorts, and I'll try to look for another way. There must be a way.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go.
You know the way? Here, without fakely adding shadows, we still get the effect back, so that's good. The increased contrast does work. It does work. I'll give everyone that. I think for now we're running with this as grass, but now the question becomes, do we want to do dirt, or do we want to take another look at the blocks, at the cinder blocks? I wouldn't know how to approach the dirt thing, so that's going to be a lot of pain as well. I mean, the grass is very subtle, but it gives off the appearance of grass. I'm good. I like it. So let's put the grass to rest for a moment. Let's move on to dirt. We'll save the displacement map. Boom. Because I think it's important to have a good grasp of how to do natural materials as well as artificial materials. Dirt variations. And let's open up the original. Dirt. Oh boy. Oh boy. There we go. Does anyone have good ideas for how to approach this? The username really leaves a blank space. Again, can you go just your device options? Is there any way to disable autocomplete? Good morning, Rain. But whenever I start with a number, it's not blank. How do we do this? Do you have keyboard options? Like in the settings, is there a keyboard option, something to disable autocomplete or auto-suggest? It's probably there, like input options or accessibility. It's really dumb that you have to do this specifically like one time to get your player name in there. But once it's there, it will remember it, so it will be working forever. And it does work in the old version. Is that like, am I understanding correctly? It does work in the free version, Links. Hey Rain, we're drawing normal maps and stuff again, so welcome. How do we approach dirt? Yeah, text correction sounds good. Auto suggest, auto completion, predictive text. Like trying to disable all of the fancy keyboard options. Tech support. Crunchy, can you help out, Links? Okay, so I have an idea on how to approach the pebbles. The pebbles are easy. We just shape them and then we add a bit of like the effect to it. That's the easy part. The hard part is going to be the sort of flowing nature of the rest of the texture. It works! Woohoo! Ooh, ooh. Hey Links, have a good one. You can re-enable them now because everything is set up correctly now. You can just re-enable the stuff. How do we make this gently flow? Because it's also sort of angled diagonally. Morning streams are best with coffee. Go ahead, enjoy your coffee, Rain. Rain, while I contemplate this texture and the meaning of life, take a look at this.
Let's go.
We made a very nice grass texture. See, it's got depth to it, and it's got nice shading to it, and it just looks spectacular. It looks amazing, because that's what we do. And it goes pretty well with the other textures as well, but still I'm not loving the fact that we're abusing the albedo for those stones. We have to use a different process for those. But I like the grass. I think this one will be workable. It's perfecto, Link says. It's worth more than the 99 pesos. Hey, yesterday it was 89 pesos. What happened? Yesterday it was 89 and now it's 99 pesos. What? Hey, and the upside here, Links, is that once I upgrade or update the thing, you automatically get the new upgrades. Still waiting on my coffee to be done. Dragon Lady Mist says. What? It had tags. Oh, okay. It had tags. Sorry to hear that, but I hope you still enjoy. How do we approach this dirt? I have a few ideas, but this is going to be style defining. This is going to be the hardest texture to get right, I believe. Aside from all the other ones. Okay, what layers do we have? We have the pebbles. Okay, if we remove the pebbles, we can more clearly see the underlying structure. Is there a block, Crunchy says, that has one color and no seams when connected together? I don't think we have that. The best you can do is use the plaster. The plaster has got very little texture to it. It's available in different colors and you can just connect it together. And it has no seams, if I'm correct. Sorry for this interruption.
Oh, no time to waste.
But I think the plaster blocks are exactly what you're looking for. They're over in the shaped section, I believe. Blue plaster, here we go. And then we have grey plaster. Yeah. And then we have orange plaster. So this is another texture that we still need to update. Pink plaster. And if you place enough of them together, Crunchy, you see that you get a nice overall effect. I think these are the colors of plaster that are available. Blue, grey, orange, red, pink, white and purple. Okay, more tech support, as you can see. Just ask me all your questions. You have an estimate for when these textures will be in the game? Not yet. So far I've done, this is the 6th live stream working on the textures, or the 5th, sort of. And I only did 7 textures or so. So it's, and there's 400 textures. So depending on how optimistic you are, it's a lot of work. What is this layer? I have no idea what this layer is. But we have background, dark, light, and pebbles. Ooh boy. Why is this so hard? Why can we not just make this work? Because it's tiled. The tiling makes it even harder to get this right. And I'm not sure if we can reuse any portions of the existing texture, because we will have to redraw major portions of this and add depth to it. Because as far as I read this texture, it's a series of sort of waves that we have. We can't just throw this into the texture packer thing or in the PixPlant thing, because we've got directional lighting going on. So it's not like this part is raised compared to this. Like it's the background portion here, the background layer that is raised. compared to the other stuff. Still a lot of work, but I love the results so far already. Same here, Dragon Lady Myth, same here. It looks so good, but it takes so much time to make all of the textures, which is why I'm looking into automating parts of it, but it's just not happening. It's just not happening. He's touching his mouth, you know he's thinking hard. Yeah. I could do the Steve Jobs pose like this. Or does he use the other... I'm not sure. Steve Jobs pose. Dude. Other ones you can use crunchy are the metals. I think they are also very nicely shaped metal. Only has got a sort of edge around it with some nails. I think that looks pretty good as well. How do we approach this? Because take a look at the navigator over here. The texture looks so good. You're more excited by the PBR version though, hahaha. Yeah. It looks so good, seen from a distance like this. And we can sort of deduce the raised portions of it and the lowered portions. But how can we turn that into a nice texture? It's also the way that you read the texture. There's different ways to read this texture. It's a complex, multi-layered thing. I just wish the stream would stop buffering. Let me check if it's on my end. Status. The stream is healthy. Okay. Dragon Lady, you could try over on YouTube. So maybe I'm sending it out at a too high bit rate for you. It's 1 megabytes per second. 1 megabit, 8 megabit on Twitch. So maybe the YouTube stream works better. Will there be a hunt later today, tomorrow? Yeah. If you check my YouTube channel, there is a regular Angeldust live this evening. Let me show you. On YouTube. The 3D version on Android might lag a little bit with all of the players that we will have on the live stream. Like maybe it will be a bit too much, but maybe it will work absolutely fine. Like I've played in 3D on my computer, which works absolutely fine. So there's, it's called Take 2 and it reuses the thumbnail because we're trying again with the lamps. 1080p is just too much for your connection. Beep beep, I'm a Jeep, Son Doddy says. Well, hello Doddy. How are you doing? It's been a while. It's been a while, Doddy. Again, while I contemplate life and the adventures of this entire project, Doddy, check this out.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's
A
go.
new grass texture. Wow, it looks amazing. And Link says it doesn't lag on my end, but Links, you're on YouTube and YouTube transcodes the video, so it's not the same.
Oh, no time to waste.
To
Let's
celebrate Doddy being here, let's go to Dreamicidia. What number is it? 6 or so? About. Dreamicidia, number 6, yes. Other streams have options to turn it down for viewers. 720 works okay. Yeah, Dragon Lady, I'm not a partner or affiliate. I'm just a dumb streamer on Twitch, so I don't get any transcoding options. I'm really sorry. And I do want to sort of broadcast in the best possible quality, so that's why we end up with this. Hey Doddy, I'm sure you haven't seen your wonder in this quality. Whoa, the grass is so nice. Wow, it looks like a lawn. Of course, we still need to do the grass blades texture. And these are paving tiles, a texture that we also still need to do. It looks so nice. Wow. The lighting, the real-time dynamic shadows. It's okay, too many messages in a short time. Here we go. Let's see. You just can't set the view to very far because it starts to heat up. Okay. Yeah, keep it at medium. Medium is very well playable. Even like the default option is also good. Long time since I last jumped on stream, and yesterday I saw that there's a stream today. Good in there. New grass is great. Hey, you are great. This evening is a regular Angeldust live where we hunt and stuff as well. So that's good. Congratulations, you've received 100 messages. Thank you, I like it. So much to do, so little time. Indeed. It's from one of my favorite songs. Can't wait for the fiber to be done here, lol. Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's construction workers working on my street for the past months or so, and they will be working in the upcoming months as well. There will be fiber, hopefully, as well.
Hey, sweet hall.
Sweet hall. So everything is looking good. Is this water or is this paving tiles as well? So here's the question. Do we ditch the idea of the dirt and do we move over to the mathematical perfect representation of paving tiles? I think that's for for demonstrational purposes. Might be a good idea as well. I need to think on this dirt. Let's forget about it. Forget about it. Dirt is going into the trash can. Here we go. I'm cool like that. In the trash it goes. We're going to do the paving tiles. An oil block would be good. Yeah. Oil. Right. This is a perfect texture to illustrate my point that I made earlier in the stream. So, show recents. Does that even work? No. Nice, Illustrator, thank you. Instead of... check this out. This is going to be what I wanted to show you. Blocks. New folder. Paving tiles. Paving tiles variations. We're gonna combine everything. So we did grass, which is a natural material. And now we're going to do a different style artificial block. Paving tiles PBR displacement. Here we go. This is what it looks like in the cartoon style. But my theory is that we can also do it in our style. Our style. Which is different. And it's going to be super simple. Sort of. Yeah. So this is the background. And now what we want to do for the displacement map, because remember, displacement tells the engine how raised a portion of a texture or material is. We're just going to draw square blocks here. And Shokoshi Kagamo says, wow. Hello Shokoshi Kagamo, welcome to the live stream. Here we go. We're drawing a very simple rudimentary square, because that's what I can do. It's the only thing I can do, sort of. And this needs to be we're just making a new texture based on the old one, because the dimensions are off and we can improve on the texture that way. So first we make a background layer. Let's make it black. Like that. Boom. It's what we do. And let's not make it black, because then we can't see the lines of the artboard. So instead of black, let's use a gray color. There we go. Much better. This is going to be the BG. And then we're working on the foreground. Okay, we have 2 bricks at the bottom row. And the bottom row is 2/7, 3/7. We need to look in the engine. So we need to look up blocks.hpp. And then we need to look at the block thin solid height units. That's 2 out of 7. So now we multiply 480 divided by 7 times 2. It's 137. That's the height of the bottom row of blocks. And let's add 1, because otherwise we get a rounding error. So 138. Boom. And we want 2 of them. So it's going to be 240. 240 by 138. There we go. These are the bottom paving tiles. And of course, you can, let's see, why does it look like this? 411, okay, that's good. These are 2 tiles. There we go. Check it out. Again, this is going to be a mathematical representation of the texture layout. So if we add the inner glow to this, let's just go with something that looks good. That's a bit too much. That's a bit better. And I think they can be darker on the side. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Something like that. What's the background? 1, 2, 8. Okay, so let's move the background down a little bit. 99, 99, 99. See, this is what I meant with mathematical representation of the texture. So instead of having cartoony shapes and all kinds of jazz going on, we're just making it simple, keeping it simple. We're just going to use squares. And because we use this pillowing effect, they already get this sort of like rounded look to them. And let's just see what it's going to look like in practice. So if this is 240, then these are 120 wide. And how tall is this? No idea. But we can just reuse these. So let's reuse this one there. And then there's a one above here. So like that. And then we just draw another one from this anchor point to the midpoint of that one. Like that. Same look to it. I don't know why it doesn't work. Why I can't color pick it. So let's create the graphic style. Boom. Apply it to this one. Boom. And there's 2 over here. And then we should be able to just pick these up and move them over here. Like this. Hey, see? It's the mathematical representation of the texture, sort of. And the idea is here that the division, like the way that the texture is laid out, is more important than the actual contents. And this way we don't have any background pixels because all of these pixels are assigned to bricks that are actually in the texture. And we can use this to make it look good, maybe. So let's see like if we get a style clash here. So we're going to save this as our displacement map, paving tiles displacement, boom, it's saved. And we'll throw this into Pixplant. And then you can see that it's not as dull as it might appear currently. Close them all, don't save, open displacement, paving tiles, displacement, boom. I mean, check it out here. Sure, it looks a bit rigid and it looks a bit mathematically correct, but we do get our tiles. It's just something I want to show, and like here, once we disable displacement, this is what it will sort of look like in the engine. It's very much representative of the current texture. I'm not a big fan of these two being equally big, so we might have to do a little bit of tweaking on the dimensions of these, but let's use this as a first starting point. We pillow them up a little bit more, and this is our normal map for the paving tiles. Paving tiles PBR normal PNG, and maybe okay, that's named correctly. We extract the ambient occlusion from this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, we still get this sort of layered depth thing going on with the ambient occlusion, and it's nicely tiling, so I'm a fan of this process. But maybe you are not. I love how you bite off more than you can chew. Yeah, I'm trying my best to keep everything under control, but hey, we're also we're mavericks here. We're exploring new territory. We're pioneers. Paving tiles, paving tiles. This is good. We don't want to have any material definitions, but we do want to add the ambient occlusion to this. So boom, relink, paving tiles, base, yep, got it. Ambient occlusion, relink, paving tiles, Ambient occlusion, it's in there. Save it. Save it. Save it. Close it. Save it. Close it. but you take a look. It's not bad. This style is pretty good. I know it looks very solid and very rigid, but this is exactly what pixel art, for instance, looks like. And it might just add a bit of structure to the world that is currently missing. So you get these straighter lines, and I want to try it. Like, I want at least show you what it looks like. And then we can sort of decide what looks best. So let's call this paving tiles PBR albedo. And now we have another set of 3 textures that we can add to the sheet. So there we go, paving tiles. Save, publish it. Now we don't need to forget to add it to the material definitions. Texture name PBR style. PBR style is not hexagonal bricks. No. Paving tiles. This is the one that we want. Texture name PBR style is paving tiles PBR. Generator definitions, convert to texture, and here we go. We should have paving tiles in a slightly different style compared to the other brick blocks.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
And they should be on the village wall as well, so let's take a look at the village wall. There you go. There you go. So they can be slightly more rounded, I believe. And let's see what they look like in the shadow. Then the ambient occlusion sort of comes in like this. That's a bit more definition still. So they're a bit mellow. They're now a bit mellow compared to the cinder blocks because they are not rounded as much. But overall, it's pretty decent. Let's add a bricks block next to it. Like, keep in mind that we don't have the super obvious albedo contrast in there. And that's sort of the style difference. Do you want to exaggerate the shapes of the blocks, or do you want the world to sort of move into the background a bit more? And I think there's something to be said for having this more mellow style, which is a bit more in the background, because the world isn't as important as the players in there. See, like, from a distance, you can still see all of the lighting effects are still the same, but it's just a bit more subdued. It's not that hard of a contrast, like these blocks, like the cinder blocks are. So let's head over to Dream Acidia, see what the paving there looks like.
Let's go.
Teleport to Wonder 6. Here we are. Again, never mind the shadow artifacts, like the slight diagonal lines that you see here. But to me this feels pretty good as well. Like, it's not as over the top as the other textures, but it definitely feels like we're walking on paving tiles here. We can increase the contrast a little bit so that it has a bit more of a taper to it. But overall it feels pretty solid. And near the lights here, you can see that the light is actually falling on it. So I'm not hating this look. And it's sort of more consistent with the grass as well. See, it really feels like we're walking on paving tiles here. Is there any other area? And Gargolic says, I like how it looks. So this is without like heavy lines in between. Without heavy lines. Oh, here's a stairs. Stairs made out of those blocks. See, it's more subtle, but this also makes it more realistic, while still sort of having a cartoony style, because it's sort of realistic pixel art this way. You force it into a rectangular mold, but it's still rendered like cartoonish. You take a look at like the red light over there. It's just subtle. It's a subtle effect, but you can see sort of the glow of that red coming into these tiles. And then you get this. Then you get these cinder blocks, and they are super heavily contrasty. It looks pretty good, yeah. Feels and looks like the cartoon version. I like that. Yeah. That's what we're shooting for, sort of. But now we can apply this trick to the cinder blocks, because that's a very simple trick. So maybe we need to find a good value that works for these. So maybe I want to make them a little bit more round, give them a bit more body. And then we move on to the other ones. So we just lower the background a little bit. So let's go to 66. And then we select all of these, and then we make the glow a bit darker. 99. Or maybe we go to something like 74. Very close to the background color. Like this, make them like more tapered off. And I'm not sure if we should make them much more rounded. I mean, they're paving tiles. Of course, you like sort of shuffle your feet against them, like maybe just a little bit. So 26. And now the distribution is kind of the question. Like, do we want to make these slightly smaller? These two need to be this exact size, but this one can be slightly smaller. So instead of 138, we make it 130 maybe. Oh. It just takes a bit of tweaking to get this right, but it's 120. The other ones were 120 tall. Okay. So it's in between. It's 1 to 4 then or so. 1 to 6. 1 to 6, and then we scale this one from this side. 1 to 6. And then we can make these just slightly larger. And these as well. Okay, and now we need to make sure that the radius has changed. So we sort of want to do it again. This one and this one, mixed appearances. 26. 26. 26. 26. Okay, that's good. This is the displacement map, and we update all of the associated textures. Close this. Boom, again. So this is sort of like what it would look like with displacement mapping, but we don't have displacement mapping. It's much more uniform now. It's already looking much more uniform, which is good. Normal, smooth it, save it. And then we make another ambient occlusion map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I like the look of this. I like the way that this ambient occlusion is very deep between the stones, and that it's got this very nice taper to it. I think these look like fantastic stones. And I get that we sort of like drop parts of the playfulness of the cartoon version, but we also introduce a new sort of playfulness. There we go. It was a very subtle difference. I'm not sure if you were able to see it. Here we go again. Back to Dream Acidia.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go.
Number 6. Okay, we're slightly in the shadow here. So it's a bit subtle, but let's move over to the light. Step into the light. So we now have a bit more contrast to it. It's a bit more of a defined shape, and this sort of mimics the contrast that we have in the original cartoon style texture, except all of the lighting is now directional, and we haven't got a fake albedo background in there. So in a way, I'm pretty much a fan of this style, because matches the way that we approach the grass texture. And of course they look totally different because we have a artificial material with hard edges, and we've got this more natural organic grass material with softer edges. But this is, I think, the way that they go together. And now you can see that the paving styles are much softer in appearance than these cinder blocks. So let's see if we can make the cinder blocks look better, in quotes. I mean, I like the way that these stairs look. Let's go into time lapse for a moment, so you can see what this looks like when the day passes. So we get the shadow part. Now the sun is to the right of us. It will start to rise now. That's pretty good. Maybe we can move over to the main lane here. And it's really nice to see the shadow direction on the blocks really match the sun location, or like be the opposite of it. This is what you do not get in the current texture set because it doesn't have directional lighting information baked in. You can see the shadow rim sort of like go through the entire daytime cycle. Which is nice, which is exactly what we wanted, of course. Dynamic shadows, it's good, it's good. Okay, so... And we made this texture in like 15 minutes or so. Like, what was the time to completion? I created this at... okay, creation date is a bit of a different date here. So let's take the cinder blocks and let's see if we can make... and I know, it's a departure from what we had before. It's a departure. So let's copy all of this stuff into a new folder, and let's call this on stream 5 2022-11. I'm not sure what to call it, but we're just making a backup here because we have something that works. And now we make a new one. Here we go. And I can understand that I'm slightly more enthusiastic about this entire process than the people watching at home, but it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Okay, so this one is going to be super simple. We're going to make a background layer, and it's going to be dark gray, very dark gray. The real-time shadow looks fire. Yeah, I know. And you know what, Wendy Simple? You look fire as well. It's my standard joke, but it's not a joke in this case. That's background. So we have large stones, and we sort of need to tweak everything together because the settings that we use for one stone should probably be used for the others. There are new block suggestions. I have, oil. A pack of cyber type ones. What's cyber type? You have to spell it out for me. I don't know what cyber type is. So maybe we do the small blocks first. This one needs to be 138 tall. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. And then it would be nice if the one above it sort of lines up with the bigger ones. So this needs to be 240 in total. So this is going to be 240 minus 138. There we go. Firefly with the big brain here. So these are separate stones. I can probably use different colors. This is stone, this is stone. And we just open up the original version. Cinder blocks. Like, are these half? Like, is this half width? How large are you? 293 pixels. out of 640. 293 divided by 640. Yeah, that's roughly half. Let's go with half then. Futuristic tack. Okay, okay, sounds like a plan. Futuristic tack. I like it. So these are basically square then. Here we go. This is another block, and then we duplicate this block here and here. Does everyone agree that this is generally the layout of the small cinder blocks? And because we make this one needs to be 138 because that's the dimension of the stairs step and the thin block. That's 2/7 of the texture. This one then needs to raise it up to half of the block because the large version is going to use half blocks. And then we have this being half a block, and then it's very nicely geometrically aligned. This can work, this can work. Those colors are close to what I'm thinking. Okay, neons, we want neons. I feel you, Crunchy. So let's call this one small, and then we add the glow effect. Already pretty close, but I think for these we want to have like a much larger radius. Like what's the best we can do? 40, 42, the answer to the life, the universe and everything. 40. How tall is this one? 102. Does it make sense that this is 40 pixels? I have no idea. But let's run with 40 for now. So that's the small version of the cinder blocks. And as you can see, if we save it as a displacement map, it looks like this. Sounds workable. Looks workable. Now what we cannot do is use perfect white. We have to go a little bit darker. So we get this overgrown version of this block, and it has a sticker or sort of a decal on top of it. So we need to make sure that we have some room for the decal. So let's use 245, and we could make the background just plain black. That gives us a bit more leeway in the coloring department. And then we tweak this so the blocks can be slightly above the background, 24 maybe. So slightly more contrast on that. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. And then we make a small or a large version of this. Large. And we just do the same thing. We make 480 to 40. This is the bottom block. And I'm not sure if we can color pick from this. No, I'm not sure why that doesn't work. But it still doesn't work. And it's no problem. So these are the large blocks. That's one. We copy it to the top like this. Move it to the side, and then one to this side. So those are aligned. So this is the small configuration. Take a look at the navigator window over to the left, like this small window over here. This is the small version of the cinder blocks, and this is the large version of the cinder blocks. And because we kept in mind the fact that these should connect to the other ones, it's going to look spectacular. At least that's the idea. And now there's one more thing that we need to do. We have the overgrowth. So that's the vine that's on top of this. And we can copy that one from the existing texture that we did. So that's this thing. And now this one might be in the incorrect dimension. Yeah, it's not in the correct dimension. But we can probably tweak it so that it matches. So here it is. And we center it on the canvas. Does that make sense? Delete. We're just going to scale this one. It's 920 by 920, which is 3 times 640. And it needs to be 3 times 480. And that's 1440. So let's go 1440. Almost. It is what we want, but it needs to be done in one go. And then we just center it on this. It should be perfect. There we go. That's the overgrowth. And it has an inner glow to it. Crunchy says, I will chill out. My ideas are distracting you from the grand picture of your game. No, not at all. But the first objective here, Crunchy, is to get something that's workable for the PBR style. But hey, the other like game is still, other versions of the game are still going strong too, so don't worry about it. This is the cinder blocks large displacement Illustrator file, replace it, boom. So we can make 3 displacement maps out of this, and we need to do a bit of tidying up here. These can, like, this one will be overwritten. This one can go. And this is, we're gonna keep those, and this one is also, yeah, understood. All right. There's one thing that I forgot with the paving tiles. We can add a bit of either a dent or a sort of overarching thing to it, but that's something that we can add later on. This is just a demo of the mathematical approach to making the textures. Let's keep it simple for now. So this is the displacement map for the cinder blocks. This is the displacement map for the large cinder blocks. And this is the displacement map for the overgrown cinder blocks. We've updated them all. Close this one. This is an old file, we can close it. No other open files, so now we need to make 3 normal maps and 3 ambient occlusion maps. Starting off with the first one, the base cinder blocks. Here you go, looking good. Again, this is a mixture of a pixel artish approach and a non-pixel artish approach. Okay, that's good. Then we extract the displacement map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cinder blocks, ambient occlusion, boom. Next up, the large one. And now the hope is that we did everything correct, because otherwise we have to do this again. Okay, these are huge blocks, big boys. They truly are big boys. Exactly what we wanted. Saving them in the large normal, yep. Extract ambient occlusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Large ambient occlusion. And the goal of this remains to reduce the number of background pixels that we have, so we don't have to use albedo tricks or anything. See, we get a sort of nice effect here that the vine, the overgrowth, is actually on top of the cinder blocks. Which is nice. And it's pretty amazing, in my experience, it's pretty amazing that it actually works this way. That you get this sort of layered feel to it. And it's the reason that we could use this process for great effect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I could mail my Infinity G35X to the Netherlands, I would. Hey, hey. Shall we look up the model? The Infinity G35X. I don't think it's a graphics card, it's a car, isn't it? There we go. Stylish. Which color is it? Silver? Most of these are silver. Looking good, looking good. Let's see, so we have new ambient occlusion maps, and now we need to make the material maps. Close all. Don't save. That's the material map for the cinder blocks. This is the material map for the large cinder blocks. Going through the motions here. And then we have the overgrown one. And this is going to be a bit different, I believe. It still works, I think. Because this one is a different dimension, but we didn't change the shape of the vine, so it might work. It might work. Let's just try and use this. And then we need to tweak the albedos. So we don't have these large things anymore. It's just the background being white. A 2006 pearl white one. Sounds good. That sounds very good. That's the albedo for this one, and then we just overwrite the other albedos with this one, like make it entirely white. Cinder blocks large albedo and cinder blocks small albedo. Cinder blocks regular. Okay, a lot of work. Let's see what it looks like. We need to update the sheet definition because it's got a different layout now. This one can go, the large, boom, bam. Let's fire it up.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
So we have a few over here. Right, so as you can see, and this is a phrase that I shouldn't use anymore, but the background pixels are now gone and the blocks are connecting like super tightly to each other. It's what we wanted in a way. And let's place a small one, small one next to the large one and a large one next to the small one. So there's a nice like definition or a defining line between these two. Again, it's sort of a pixel artish style because we use a very rigid structure to make these blocks. And it's definitely different compared to the way that the cartoon textures are drawn currently. But the idea here is that we don't have these background pixels and that we don't have to fake ambient occlusion or shadow or a contrasty effect. In the shadow it looks like this. Crunchy says, cool. Well, that's the question. Is it cool? Is this workable? I think it has got a nice style to it. The blocks that we did so far in this style are cinder blocks, like they've now been updated. Paving tiles, I'm not sure where they are in this thing. Paving tiles over here. So paving tiles, and see they match in style, sort of. They match in style, and the grass should also match. So where do we get grass? Over here, like this. It's a totally different way of making the textures, and it's a totally different way of like defining the material itself. And Dragon Lady Myth says, nice. Okay, we need to have a lantern here. It's a totally different way of working. Which isn't to say that it might be the wrong way. I mean, the lighting effect is even stronger now because like every pixel in the map, every pixel in the texture now has a normal vector associated to it. So the lighting effect is even stronger than before. The only thing that you lose this way is the very sharp outlines, the very sharp definitions, the very dark contrast of the cartoon visual style. And basically the question is that a bad thing? I mean, compare what these horizontal facing bricks look like with the cinder blocks. Here we have the fake shadow effect with the like oddly colored, in my opinion, oddly colored darkish background. And on the cinder blocks we don't need that weird effect because it's just full of pixels, full of like definition pixels. Sure, it looks different. It looks more watercolory in a way, and it's very much an abstraction of the original texture. So let's take a look at the village wall. So you can still see the relief in these stones, and if we move over to the other side of the thing, you can see it still. So it's more subtle, but is that a problem? Is being subtle a problem in real life? That's the question. That's the question. Is it too subtle in parts? Or is the other one just too harsh? Let's move on top of the wall. I mean, if you take a look at this portion, there's definitely still a lot of contrast in here. Like, no questions asked. And it matches nicely with the paving tiles. At least that's what I think. So it pushes the world slightly into the background visually, but that might just be a good thing. What's the command? Is this a scout? SL3? Yeah. So it makes the characters stand out really nicely, at least in my opinion. Like the characters are more sharper and they've got a bit more color to them. And Crunchy says, yes, it's too subtle. You are too subtle. Or not subtle enough, I forgot. So here are the roofing tiles that we did yesterday with the... they do have the albedo. I like the shapes still. But then how do we solve the problem? It's a tiny bit too subtle, okay. Then how do we solve the problem? Then how do we do this? If this is too subtle and the other one is too harsh. I like this style. It's... Let's go into a wonder.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go.
Randomly. La primavera. Springtime. I'm not sure if we get a lot of these blocks over here. Here, the chimney. Is the chimney really that bad? I don't think it's that bad. But I will also admit that the cobblestone also looks pretty good in its old style. And that the wood is also pretty good, so... Okay. Those are points like in favor of the more cartoony-ish style. Ibn Rafi says, cool, add some crunch, like imperfections. Yeah. I know Neferspi. It's number 4, yeah. Neferspi has got a lot of these large stones.
Come on, there's monsters to kill.
I like the subtle look, I'm not gonna lie. I like the subtle look of these stones now. Especially in the background, they look more subtle. But I will also still admit that the bricks, this is a new brick texture by the way. It doesn't have the grey mortar in between the bricks. So this is more a unicolored version compared to what we had before. Where do we take it? Where do we take it? Which style do we adopt? Because I like the grass. The grass is pretty good. Is the brickwork too subtle? I'm still amazed as to how the dynamic lighting and reflections work in Angeldust and in combination with PBR textures. I don't know what the final result will be, but I can't wait, Wendy Simple says. Indeed. But before we see the end result, we need to have a process, a thing that works for these textures. Welcome to Neferspi. Thank you, Obi. And I find it really hard to find the definitive style. Every time that I work on something, I think, okay, this looks better than what we had before. And then you try something else and you're like, okay, this looks better than something we had before. But I like the brick style here. What if we go to Dream City again.
Nothing like that new treasure smell.
What design is this? Is this the cross or the vertical? Cross, okay. So maybe, here's another maybe. The simple appearance seems to be suitable as a typical art style from Angeldust. Yes. But is it too simple? That's also a possibility that we're working too simple. I mean, I like how this looks. So, sort of this view into the stairs and the ground. And I like that the materials are not too much in your face. They're subtle, they're more subtle. And I think that's entirely good. But there's one more problem that we haven't talked about. And I'm not quite ready to talk about it just yet. But there's one more problem. Just so you know. Just so you know. Okay, we'll just leave it at this for now. So we've got cinder blocks, paving tiles in the other style with the mathematically precise definition of the blocks. We've got the new grass, which is pretty good. The bulb. No, the bulb is something else entirely, Crunchy. And we have some textures in the old style, so we can sort of like guess what we want. Maybe it needs some touch of dynamic detail. Yeah. But we had that in the cartoon visual style, sort of, that there's more detail in there, in a way. Solomon's Castle. This uses a lot of cinder blocks. Let's see what this looks like. We now have the paving tiles in here. So yesterday we didn't have the full picture, but now we do. Does this feel good? It has so much depth to it. That's what I like. It has a lot of depth to it. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be grass. I think it is. This is the outside garden at the top, near the top of the castle. This does feel pretty good. Here's the thing. Here's the main thing. Because we do not force the albedo, it's looking like Doom. Okay. Because we do not force the albedo shapes in here, the material detail kind of blends into one in the horizon. And I think that's a good thing. It makes distant structures a bit more subtle in appearance. For instance, check out the ground over here. This is a bit involved here. And the texture filtering isn't optimal, but check out the way that the ground sort of fades into a single, more spaced out, averaged out color in the background. I like that effect. We are used to Angeldust having this very high contrast look, even in the background, but this, to me at least, gives a way more evenly divided feel to everything. As if we're actually walking up to a church building here, instead of it being a super detailed, concentrated bunch of pixels. So that's what I like. And the cinder blocks have a bit more detail in them, or a bit more displacement in them. And they kind of retain their detail at a distance. But it's more subtle, because we do not force the albedo detail in there. Maybe we're able to get a better feel for this if I'm able to get up that wall. Maybe get up this block over here. Yeah, so I feel the horizontal blocks, they force their texture a bit too much compared to the cinder blocks. Like those horizontal facing bricks, the nicely decorated ones with the sort of wavy pattern in there. And even the roofing tiles, I feel they force their texture, their structure a bit too much. And maybe this is also a cartoony style. The fact that everything is very rigid and defined, maybe that's also cartoony in a way. The repetition is also an art. Repetition is also a design language element. And Dragon Lady Mist says, I like the new look a lot. Yeah, okay, so but we do need to separate out the materials, because the cinder blocks, they have the new or different art style. And for instance, the roofing tiles are still the old style. But I like that it's more subtle. Will a lantern change if it is underneath it? Yeah. Like the dynamic lighting is still there, so blocks will change color depending on where lighting is. And what does it look like inside? So let's move inside. Here, this is a perfect example. We do not force outlines anymore. We don't have albedo defining a background shape, which means that it's only the material and the lighting interacting with each other. This room is the perfect example of having only indirect lighting, or sorry, artificial lighting. So there's no sunlight in this room, but we only have the normal vectors and the ambient occlusion working together to draw the entire room. This is only normals and ambient occlusion. And this is like the deciding moment. Like, is this good enough? Does this look good? I think it does. I think this looks absolutely amazing for a game with this style. And Crunchy says, I miss outlines in a way. The entire thing is way more subtle. That's like the thing. But there's directionality of light everywhere, so you can definitely see where the lights are. Okay, here we move up. There's not a lot of light here, so this is a bit different. Let's move back down. I think this is a very good look. I think this has a very nice look to it. Sure, there are no black pixels in here like we have in the current Angeldust, and it's less contrasty and everything is a bit more pillowed in a way. But I appreciate that. Like the fact that there's light directly falling onto this block, sort of lighting up the space in between the bricks. Like that's the sort of like warm gray that you see in between the bricks. That's being lit by this lamp. I like this. I like this effect a lot. And Crunchy says, hey, that's what you're shooting for. Yeah. And now we come outside and there's more contrast. The sunlight is much brighter. And it's definitely a different feel compared to... Like, you can add contrast using materials. Like, if you want to make something dark in here, you use a darker material. But maybe we shouldn't force it in the texture. I see the outlines when you get close. GG. Yeah, that's the ambient occlusion. Especially in the shadow portions. But for instance, this wall. This is so much more subtle than it was before. And on the live stream yesterday, I also said this. Some people hate the abundance of detail and the way that all of the pixels have contrast and detail in the existing visual styles. And this would make that a lot more focus on the material, less focus on the texture. If we're shooting for different, this is different, and maybe different is the goal. And it might not be as spectacular, and there sure are vistas that look better with a more forced cartoonish style on there. But I'm sort of ready to take the plunge and say, okay, we do it this way. City of Justice. I'm not sure if we have a lot of stones here. Okay, here's an entire building made out of the paving tiles. Okay, someone fell down there. Here again, the question is, are these paving tiles, do they look defined enough? And even the wall there on the right side with the ruin stone and the cinder blocks. In a way, it makes the world much more concrete and you can almost feel the materials. A lot better than, for instance, these bricks. They've got very forced outlines in between them.
Been looking for this. Decisions. It's a good balance, Crunchy says. Here we have
grass. So the grass also doesn't have forced albedo anymore. And there's definitely a different feel to the grass than to the paving stones. Of course, the materials almost couldn't be further apart. So sorry for the lag. Snow is sort of laggy on this visual style, also on the computer. It needs to overdraw a lot.
Nothing like that. New treasure
I'm going
smell.
on to this side of the build. It's the north side. There's a large cinder blocks building over there that I want to take a look at. Because under the right lighting conditions, the paving tiles are almost indistinguishable from the bricks. Except the bricks are always forced to have their outlines. So I don't think forcing is a good way of doing it. But then the question also becomes, how do we do it for the other stuff, like the roofing tiles? Okay, here's the cinder blocks building in the shadow side. Can we appreciate the subtleness of this? Can this be appreciated? You very subtly see that it's made out of cinder blocks because it's got the outlines in there. And then we move on to the lit side, and then you can probably see that it's got a lot more contrast on there. Yeah. Make it rain coins. Very soon it will rain coins. These sides look absolutely gorgeous. And the dynamic shadows are absolutely gorgeous. And now we move back over to the shadow side of the build. And that is more subtle. There's, I think, gold or black marble here that doesn't have a texture just yet. So that's to be done. To be determined. But does this look bad or does it look good? What's for dinner? That's in 5 hours or so. So I'm not eating dinner just yet. We'll have lunch first. Lunch is probably going to be cheese. Like bread and cheese. Ooh. Okay. Next up, I have one more thing that we can try. 30 minutes, sort of.
Oh, no
30
time to
minutes.
waste, let's go.
What I want to do is to maybe try and see what we do with the block decorations. So here you can see the stones. We did this one way back in the day, at the start of this year. A hand-drawn normal map for that. But I want to see what we can do with the grass decoration on top of the blocks. I have some ideas, and let's see what we can make of that. So we're going to work in a different folder now. We're just like all over the place, but that's good because we need to get a feel for what works and what doesn't. So it's a block decoration, but I'm not sure if that's the folder that is in originally. Small foliage, okay. Block decorations, small foliage. Yeah, rocks do have their own folder. Small foliage. And we're looking to make this one. Look, I'm chatting more than Obi. You're doing it, Crunchy. Indeed. You're doing it. And I'm real happy for you. I'm real happy for you. So this texture. It's a bit involved because this entire file has got like all of the plants and all of the stuff. But we're going to focus on this one. Should we save this entire file? I think the large one is the same except layered slightly differently. No, it's different. It's different. Sorry. Sorry for doubting you, Space. It's entirely different. And how do we approach this file? How do we make a displacement map out of this? I think we want to work with the gradients or with the whatchamacallit, the mesh tool or something. The artboard is 240 by 80. That sounds like the right dimensions. So maybe we just use this entire file as is. We just copy it over. Small foliage, displacement, PBR. Oh, you started flat grass. Yeah, I want to see what the combination looks like, Alexi. I want to see if we have an artwork process that works for this as well. So this is just going to be one last thing to do today. Again, we want to get rid of the highlighting here. Or are these stems of the grass? No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Here's a very bright one, okay. And now the idea is that we want to add a bit of depth to these. Sure. Let's see if we can like get away with doing a inner glow on these. Using multiplication. And then just a very subtle sort of coloring to it. 189, 189, 189, just like we did with the other one. And we want to do it from the center or the edge. Edge looks better, but it's not exactly what I had in mind. Because this is not what I want. One last thing, really. Yes, one last thing, really. Let's work macro first, macro detail first. We run into a problem here that we have. This is a displacement map, so this defines the depth of the blade to the camera. This blade definitely cannot be closer to the camera than this one, because it's in the back. So we need to swap these colors, at least swap these colors. So this one becomes that color, and then this one becomes white. And let's see, this one is in front of that one, so we cannot have this one be darker than that one. Ooh, this is another can of worms that I didn't expect. So it's good that we're running into this, but it's going to be more pain. No, the other way around. Ding dong, bing bong. Thank you, Crunchy. You're the best. What is the frontmost blade? This one is pretty much in front, but then parts of this one are in front of that one. Okay, so here's the deal. I sort of want to work with gradients. And then the question becomes, how do we work with gradients? So this one needs to be reversed. No. Is our style like this? Is it just... See, that's why knocking is better. Okay, thank you. I enjoyed this part of the conversation. That is why knocking is better. Don't knock it till you tried it. Nope, the other one is in the back. We first need to define our layering, because otherwise we'll never get anywhere. Like, it kind of makes sense to switch these around and then make this one the dark one. There we go, like that. I can live with it. Knock knock, who's there? You should use that joke in the stream later. Well, I just might, but so far I'm having trouble understanding the joke. 219, 219, 219. Will this work? Will this look good? Good question. Another question. For the displacement map, do we need to have a dark background? Because we can't have alpha, maybe? So, do we need to make the displacement like this? Let's just try. I think these need to be triple size, so that's 720 by 240. And this is going to be in a different folder. Block decoration, small foliage. Small foliage. New folder. Grass. Small, I think it is called. Grass. Short. Grass. Short. Displacement PBR. That sounds like a good name. And hopefully it's saved in the right folder. Yeah, there we go. Remember, did you hear about the person who invented the knock knock joke? Yeah, he got a Nobel Prize. Now I know this. I still know this. How could I forget? I could not. Boom. Normal mapping. Smooth it out. It looks like grass. And there's all kinds of funky things going on here. It looks like grass and it's super funky. We're just running with this because, again, we need to see what works. The bell sounds like ding, bong, bing, dong. Okay, my bell sounds a bit different. It's more like ring and that's all. But that's good. Small foliage variations. Grass, short, PBR. Normal. All of our file names are messed up now. Let's reopen it under correct name. Small foliage PBR displacement. That's what it should be called. Cross short PBR displacement. PNG. And then we make a ambient occlusion map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which obviously looks like this. Sure. Let's run with that. Small foliage, grass short, PBR, AO. So again, this is another involved process, but we're just going through the motions here because we need to. Yeah, that. We make a copy of this one for the albedo. Small foliage PBR. Albedo. And for now, we're just gonna assume that all of the grass blades have the same color, because that's the style that we are now shooting for. And it's 720 by 240. And we can just save this directly. Grass short PBR albedo. This is going to be such a large amount of work. And I don't like the fact that there's this weird thing going on at the top there. Oh, and I know why that is. It's because we are tiling the texture. So if we disable tiling, none. See, then the normal map is a lot better. So now we need to be on the lookout that we do that correctly. For everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey Zegas, how are you doing? See, you're biting again, and this is why you're a success. I hope so, I hope so. Motion lotion, I have no idea what that means, but it's all good. Okay, so boom, normal map, albedo, and now we need to make the material map. And that's going to be a big problem. But we'll power on. 720 by 240. Boom. We can do this. I've had tougher challenges in my life. Looking good. We save this as grass short PBR material base Illustrator file, and then we make a same file where we place that one. Hey Zegas, I love your name, Crunchy says. Place the material base, media in the center of the artboard, and we add transparency, and for that we place the ambient occlusion file. As we say in Dutch, hoppakee. It sort of sounds like what the dude from Die Hard says, but it's not the same. This is going to be PBR material, boom, save it with transparency to the variations folder, and now we should have 3 files for the foliage, our initial version. Looking good, looking good. And now, and this is more work, because why not? We can close all of these. Let's close Pixplant for now as well. Now we need to make a new texture sheet, because I don't think we have small foliage just yet. Alpha block decorations. Nope. We don't have it. So we need to make a new texture sheet. I think we can reuse the definition from this one, so let's just remove all of these files. Then we add these small foliage variations. It will be saved as small foliage.xml, and this will be small foliage.tiff. Looking good, and now we save this project as small foliage. The no red pocket devs live stream. Yeah, today we don't have the red pocket, indeed. Very sharp, Crunchy. New texture sheet. We convert it using small foliage.tiff 8, and will this just work? Don't we have to supply a mat or something? We will have to be on the lookout for the edges of this texture sheet, but okay, I can live with it. Then we need to probably add it in the texture sheets here. Texture sheet library. Do we have a PBR small foliage? It's already defined. Okay. Looking good. And this is a decal block objects. Where do we define this? Block decorations. Grass blades long. Grass blades short base. False, double density. I think we need to supply grass short PBR here. Let's see if it works. It's probably not gonna work. Okay, we are at least updating the block decoration library file. We are creating a PBR small foliage file, and we updated our texture sheet information library. It looks good, but it's probably going to be horrible in game. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go.
Hey. Hey. Hey, we got a lot of them. Okay, okay. Oh, well, for a first version and seeing all of the textures work here, it's not bad. I don't mind. At least they show up. They don't have texture artifacts. So this is a win. This is a win in my book. Of course, it samples from the cartoon shape. And it's pretty subtle. These are all good things. And let's see if we can get to an area with a bit more. Here they are in brown. Different style to the rocks, sure. Because the rocks are hand-drawn and this is more like computer generated, sort of. Okay, okay, let's head over into Dream Acidia to see the combination of all texture styles that we now have. Paving tiles, cinder blocks. And then we move over here to see the grass in action. Seeing what I have laying around, I can't make the fixing the lamp video. Maybe mail me the broken one you have. I had to return it to the store, Crunchy. I returned it to the store and I got a refund. And then I got some new lamps. Okay, I love the fact that we have normals mapping to the left here. So there's a lot of like light coming in from the left. I like that effect. And I think the grass blades should have a bit more depth to them, and then we're probably good. I mean, check this out. It's pretty nice to see the directional lighting on the grass blades. See, just the tiny bit of like highlighting going on them. That's pretty good. So now we need to add a bit more depth to them.
And we're happy.
Which is something we can do. That's like fake it till you make it. We can do this. So let's head over into the displacement. I think the albedo is good. And now it's just like a matter of making sure that we have nice displacement here. So maybe we need to get the dark tones a bit darker. Move these more to the back. I also like that the grass is less flat. Yes. Nice. So I'm not sure if the stream is lagging a lot, but I'm just gonna add a bit more different layers here. So we have one at 64, then we add these at 96. We sort of want to space out all of the layers. I think we should switch the colors of these to 19 to 2. Yes, okay. Which one was 219? And this one is 222, okay. And then we have 231, 231, 222. 206, this is sort of an in-between value. 128, 128, 128. But it's in front of that one. Looks like. Because we just changed these around. So this one should be darker. 206. Even darker still. 109, what? So we move those to 128. I think this one can be 128 as well. We're trying to add more separation between the grass blades here, so the colors have more differences in them. Then this one can be 160, because everything will add to the layering. 129. And then this one can be 224 or so, and then this one is 255. Okay, so more layering in the blades themselves, and now we can add that sort of second effect. I'm gonna lock the background here so we don't have to mess with that. And we want to add the inner glow effect to all of these. Want to make sure that there are no groups or anything. Path, 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 path. Nice. Stylize, inner glow. Multiply. 200 or so. Preview. Okay, so now we see a nice edge coming onto the blades. We can make the effect maybe a bit stronger. 150, 150, 150. See, adding a bit of depth to them. Oh, we can use the opacity for that. Sure, let's go with 0 then. And then just normal. 8 pixels, that's a bit too much. 6 pixels, sure. Let's try this. So all of the blades now sort of have an individual layering to it. Like they've got that balloony effect. So maybe we can do 7 pixels. Why cannot? What's this? There's a bit of junk here at the top, or what? Anyway, 7 pixels. 8 pixels. 7 pixels. 6 pixels. 7 pixels. And the effect might be a bit too strong now. 25%. Because we want to retain the layering in between the blades. 35. That's decent, that's decent. Okay, save this. 300%. We've got some pixelation going on, so we need to rasterize at a higher resolution. Which is entirely logical because we are upscaling it a lot. There we go. I think there's still pixelation going on. Yeah, okay, of course you're gonna see it at this resolution. But it's better, it's better. Let's use this. Grass, short, displacement. PBR thing. Open up Pixplant, open up the displacement. Boom, like this. We don't want tiling. No tiling, sir. And then we surely don't get any tiling. Okay, that's good. We smooth it out like this. And I hope we still get a nice depth effect from this. So grass, short, PBR, normal. That's what we have here. And then we extract the ambient occlusion map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure if this changed a lot, but at least we see the outline. So I'm taking it as good. Then we go into this thing, material, and we save this out. Boom, let's try it again, Sam.
Oh, no time
Let's
to waste.
do
Let's
a
go.
build alone first. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, the blades now have more 3D depth to them, and the layering is much more visually apparent. And I think this is almost the best we can do. We might be able to do a bit of a center glow to it, so that they are raised a bit more in the center. But I think, like, stylistically, this is the best we can do with the grass blades. And they still get the light from the lamp. This feels pretty good. I'm gonna take a screenshot here. This one, especially these grass blades. Look at the ambient light coming in from the left. I like the color palette, having the blue getting mixed in there from the sky. We're walking against the grain here, so maybe I should walk this direction. Here's a few blades. We might have to go into Ecplixy, for instance. That's got a lot of
Oh, no time to waste. Let's go.
grass. So here we are, Ecplixy. There's also a lot of lighting effects going on here. So this already feels a lot more like grass, especially with the underlayer is more leaves that are scattered around. Maybe that's the sort of visual effect that we get now. But there are now grass blades on top of most blocks, like this one. And it really clears out the view a little bit, so we might have to do the long grass blades or the tall grass blades after this. But I like the effect that we get again from only using the lighting algorithm. So yeah, this looks really good. Really voluminous, with a lot of volume to the grass blades. I like that effect, so that we don't force colors or contrast into the material itself.
Nothing like that new treasure smell.
Workable, workable. Let's see if we can do a slight tweak, and then it's lunchtime, and then this will be the end of this live stream. So how do we do it? How do we add slightly more oomph to these grass blades? Do we just add another layer? New effect. Can I do it from here? Nope. Effect. Inner glow. And then we do white. And we do it from the center. Yeah. This is sort of what we want to shoot for. 4, 8, 12. This doesn't do anything. 6. That's a bit too much. We want to keep our layering in the grass. I think this is kind of where we're at. And now one trick I learned is that the order of these is pretty important. So let's see what happens if we change the order around. It doesn't want to. Yeah, we definitely brighten it up. definitely brighten it up. So let's run with this then. Yeah, take a look at that. Take a look at that. This is a very important asset to get right because it's used everywhere. So we can definitely invest half an hour to make this look good. This feels like a proper depth map from a 3D modeling application. So let's open up the new displacement. Close all of the others first. Like this. No tiling. One thing that I would like to try with this is increase the normal scale so that we get an even stronger lighting effect on this. But that might be a bit too much for now. So let's just keep it at the default setting. In fact, let's make sure that we do not change this setting at all. No tiling. Normal map. And maybe the ambient occlusion map gets a bit more interesting now too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, okay, it's just the outlines. But hey, as long as it's mathematically correct, I'm happy. Cross short PBR material, boom, 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 boom. One more try.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
We're going to Dottie's place, Dreamicidia, the first one to demonstrate the new grass. Oh yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It feels like properly 3D modeled grass blades, except the outline is exactly the same as we had before. And you can definitely see the individual grass blades now coming to life here. Because they've got this relief to it, the normal map is a bit stronger. I think it's pretty good. So Crunchy said a long time ago, I hope Wendy makes it to the live stream later. Need more ladies. That's good. Is anyone still watching? How do you like this? Is it good stuff? What does it look like if we lower the resolution? Minimal. Still good. Still looks nice. So that's sort of what the effect we would get in the background. And if we go to Ultra, it's sharp, it's defined, it really matches the underlying material, so I'm liking this. Nice crisp to this, yeah. It's pretty good, isn't it? And it also breaks up the sort of flat surface of the entire grass plane. So it actually adds a lot. Don't mind me, I'm just walking around, sitting around. That's just what we do. Okay, let's go back to normal then. And old-fashioned, just for a moment, see what effect that gives. Sort of effect that gives. Okay. Not bad. Old-fashioned uses a nearest neighbor filtering algorithm for the textures. And I like the grass effect. Take a look at the colors of the grass. So what if we enable time-lapse? You should be able to get a sense of grassy feel. Yeah. Even though we're in the... Hi, still here, Wendy Simple, hello. Even though we have very pixelated textures here in this style, the lighting effects still work. And I think that the material definitions themselves, so the glossiness of the grass still shines through nicely. Okay, so lots of things to think about. It's lunchtime for me. Is this better, like the paving tiles style without the forced albedo, or do we like the more harsher one? This one combines best with the grass. Hi Crunchy, hi Wendy. Hey chef. Children should never. So what do we do? It's something to think about. I sort of like the mathematical approach. It makes a lot of sense to not force material properties onto anyone. The real test for that would be the bricks.
And now we found the loot,
And we're happy. Crunchy, there are better places for this. Crunchy, please. Not to be too forward, but hey, is it too subtle? Is it not too subtle? We have no idea. And maybe we won't have an idea until the next live stream. Yeah, it's that extreme. It's that how we do it. On the other hand, like one more, uno mas. Just one more. Shall we try the bricks one more time? Do we make an archive folder? And do we call it stream 5 PBR to 2011? Do we just save the bricks that we have? Do we really want to do this? Do you really want to make me cry? We can at least try. Let's see, we should be able to hammer this one out really quickly. 480, 480. Background layer. Sort of darkish gray. It's good. Boom. Take a look at the original texture for inspiration. I mean, bricks is one of the easier ones, so... Okay, we've got 3 bricks at the bottom. And... Okay, we can easily divide these values. 160 by 138, that's a bottom brick. Again, we can use some colors here. Those are the bottom bricks. And then we sort of need to... No one's saying yes here, Crunchy. Nobody is going to say yes. Just chill out, brother, chill out. Okay, I think the idea is that we have 2 layers of this size, and then the rest of the space is divided into 2. And I think that's a very good approach to this problem. So then we need to calculate 240 minus 138. That's 102. So this is the second layer, and it's offset by like half a brick. Yeah, I think that's the idea. So we offset these by half a brick. Like this. Boop. 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 I'm not a big fan of this not being 480, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening here. And this should probably be 320, and this should probably be 160. Are these misaligned too? 80 to 40, this should be. And this should be 400. There we go. And then we have one more brick over on this side. At 0, okay, that's good. And then we duplicate this. Yeah, so this way everything should align. Everything should align. Now we can select everything, make it white, stylize, inner glow, something like 99, 99, 99. I'm not exactly sure what we used for the other bricks, but we're going to use this 100%. And blur 36, 24, decent, decent, 28, 26. Things to consider here are if we want to make these 3 upper layers evenly spaced, evenly sized, or if we want to go with like large, small like this. We can do large, small, like this, for now. So then we call this blocks, bricks PBR displacement. We export it to Pixplant. Making sure to enable tiling, because otherwise it will look really weird. Blocks, bricks, displacement, and boom, tiling, both. They look like bricks. There's nothing wrong with the bricks. We have to smooth these out. Save them. Blocks, bricks. Bloop, bloop. Extract the ambient occlusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like the main upside of dividing the blocks like this is that we get nicely aligned lines. And I like nicely aligned lines. I mean, take a look at the bricks. They look pretty serviceable. There's nothing wrong with these bricks. This is the material map. We can save this out. No problems. And then we need to make the albedo white. Just like that. And then we get the job done. In fact, we can even make this 480. So we don't have to do any more magic while saving the file. Do we? Boom, we close the small foliage, we're done with that one. We're opening the regular one again. Publish it. Make, convert, regular. Just wait a moment. And now the idea is that the bricks are also in the smoother, less forced style.
Oh, no time to waste, let's go.
So let's place them next to these. Bricks. Bricks. More bricks. And what block is this then? Bamboo. Okay, we also have bamboo, of course. Right, there you go. So this is a less forced variation of bricks. And the shadow side looks like this. So here on the shadow side, we still get nice ambient occlusion. Looks pretty good, looks very good, and it's a lot more subtle in definition. Except it's like if we make an entire wall out of this, it's now mathematically perfect. Perfect. Like this. Whoa, it looks like such a mathematically perfect wall of bricks. Once you see it. So we need to test this at Neversby.
No time to waste, let's go.
Wonder number 4. There we go. So here you are, there's a lot of bricks here, and yeah, you can see a bit of a pattern, like small, large, small, large.
Hey, sweet haul.
But it's mathematically absolutely perfect now. So let's move into the temple, and let's see what everything looks like here. Okay, this might not be the best place to look at it. We should probably go into one of the more open areas. Over here. Right, so the sun is setting, it's getting darker already in the game. And we don't force the contrast between the blocks anymore. So, or in the texture. So this is what that looks like. Daytime, I think it's much better, just not having those very dark lines in there. Here in the background, over to the right, things just look so much more natural. We don't force the contrast in the blocks anymore. I think this makes the material stand out a lot better. It's really hard to tell, like, if this is the way to go, if this is the best approach, if it can be improved, But this is what that is. This is what that is. So with the sunlight falling onto them, they look absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not entirely sure what it looks like in the dark. So there's a lot of like noise going on here. But this is not going to get any better, I believe, if we start to force those lines. There's probably light coming in from the top here. Now, it's very hard to see because we don't see all of the blocks, because some of them are hidden behind other blocks. Okay, so here's a lantern that's directly illuminating these bricks, and it looks perfectly serviceable. I know they have a bit of a round shape to them, and they are a bit balloonish, and they are not super sharp. But here, this walkway, this walkthrough, looks very good. It's a bit more of a painterly effect that you get from this, even though it's very mathematically rigid.
Nothing like that. New treasure
Other
smell.
wonder, let's teleport around. Paxanima, west. Welcome to a Paxanima, Alexi says. Well, we do feel welcome. We have a nice interior over here, so let's move into the interior. And okay, we've got the wooden planks with the albedo trick. They also work. Where to take it? Where to go? Alexi says,
Hey, sweet
sexy,
home.
yes. Oh, we finally also have the roof. So we have the paving tiles now, Alexi, so we can take a look at what this looks like in real life.
Found the loot,
Paving
and we're
tiles,
happy.
moving inside. So here you see a very obvious difference between the facing bricks that use this albedo trick and the cinder blocks that do not. And I'll just let the results speak for themselves, sort of. The wooden planks in the bottom, they've got the albedo trick too, so make of that what you will. Everything looks good. Nobody said that. Let's take a look at the outside of the house, because then we can see the paving tiles in action as well. That's nice. That's nice. What is it? What is it? Like 1600 hours or so? Alexi, how do you feel about this? The look of the paving tiles of the roof and the look of those cinder blocks compared to the look of the facing bricks. Alexi says, cool. Yeah, it's cool, but we're looking at details. We're going for the details here. Do you miss the defining lines between the paving tiles? Do you miss the shape? You love it. Do you miss the shape of the cartoon ones? Because these are very rigid. These were like mathematically made, so they are very rigid. Is that a problem for you? It is okay. Like here, the top rim of the roof, like this ridge. This of course has got a bit of differences, like variation going on. And this, the cinder blocks, is this likable? The look of like these cinder blocks. Also the one there in the background, which is way less contrasty. Also check out the grass blades in the back over there. And here the bricks, the brick windowsill. And then you have this very high contrast facing bricks texture with the forced albedo. In all, at a distance, it all works pretty well together. I'll give it that. But the things to consider. And when he says it looks better, you need to be a bit more specific. Like, does this new style look better than the forced albedo trick? Or does it not? Because now I want to do the wooden planks too, to see what that looks like, but we can't do everything on this live stream. You like the detail. Which detail? Okay, this is going to be very hard to explain. like wooden planks. They've got everything. They've got the nails and the albedo trick in the background. And then you move on to the paving tiles like this. A bit more of a flat shading to it. Especially the parts where there's sunlight mixed in with non-sunlight, I think everything looks so super good. But then still, the facing bricks, I can see why people would like... and this is... Isn't this just, like, I'm just looking outside, isn't this just what the world looks like in real life? When there's no light falling onto bricks, you actually do get this sort of feel to it. There's no light falling into it from any place. It's just flat blocks. Like, ooh, I like this see-through. I really like the detailing, like the way that this looks from the outside looking in. Oh, see the light coming in through the window over there? Wow. Now that Firefly just needs to, yeah, leave the frame. And now the builder needs to look at us. Yo, screenshot. looks good, looks good. I want 3D models plus C texture style now. We want all of the things. And then you see the wooden planks and you think, okay, these are some good wooden planks. Ah, how do we do it? Where do we take it? What do we want? Grass blades, grass blades. Nice grass blades. There's this common saying that says, kill your darlings, so that you shouldn't get hung up onto things that are that look good or that are good, but we need to watch the bigger picture. Kill your darlings. Maybe we need to kill our texture darlings. I like the look of this grass over there, especially seen from a distance. And here you can sort of see why the marble doesn't specifically go well together with that. So the marble is definitely with the albedo mixed in there, it's just very harsh compared to what the grass does material wise. Oh, whoops, wrong button. So getting everything like super awesome will take a bit more time. Also check out the roof on this building. Just because we do not force the albedo anymore, just take a look at the subtle rendering on this. It's so good. I can't stress this enough. I really like the subtle rendering in the distance, where we do not force the texture contrast. Some of my friends don't like me playing the game unamused. Okay. We should of course also bring back the water rendering, because that was one of the highlights. Maybe we can take the the cartoonish water rendering and do a bit of like transmogrification on the texture map, and then it's maybe absolutely perfect. Ah, I like the roof over there. I like the roof of that building in the background. Just subtle material influences. I like these paving tiles. So the more I look at this, the more I'm starting to lean towards the mathematical approach to making textures. Just having them be in the background, just letting the lighting do all of the work. Because in real life, you don't force these things either. Great to see you're feeling well, you're sharing your brain power in this YouTube account. I am indeed, Crunchy. So, curious to see where this takes us next. And I like the grass blades. I like the way that they look. The 3D-ness to them. And we should probably do the same for the long grass blades. Which might just be like stretching them out and then be done with them. Because the original sort of looks like a stretched out version of the small ones either way. So I think that is good. And of course we still ran into different problems, like what does the dirt look like, what is the rock going to look like? Oh, all good questions. And we've got volcanic rock over here. What's it gonna look like? Decisions, decisions. Hopefully we can one of these days make a decision on them. Anyway, that's sort of what I wanted to do today. So the wooden planks still up for debate, like how are we going to make them? Will they be perfectly mathematically correct or not? Let's go to Neferspi one more time. With the bricks, with the brickwork.
Looks like you could use an extra blade.
Because again, this repetition, the softer look of the 3D textures is so nice, Dragon Lady Myth says. Okay, I sort of tend to agree with you.
Hunting right now.
Take a look at the roof, for instance, over there. Let's use cinematic mode here. And then let's set the time so that we can actually see things. 12 o'clock? 11 o'clock? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of depth already encoded in this. Sorry. There's a lot of depth already encoded in this, and in real life you also don't force different albedo colors for materials. And maybe it makes for a better cartoon style, but there's something that I can't talk about just yet that's going to be changed. So maybe this is just the way to go for now. One moment.
Getting paid to stand around? Sure, why not?
There we go, sorry, there's something stuck in my throat or something. I have no idea what it is, but oh, this looks so good. Seriously, and I totally understand. I fully grasp that the cartoon visual style and with the darker lines, it also looked good. But you cannot look at this and tell me that it doesn't look good. With the more subtle shading to it. It's more realistic, but also it's not realistic because it's more forced into the like the rigid framework of straight lines. It's pixel art deluxe in a way. It's pixel art with a bit of playfulness to it. It's I like it. I like this a lot. Like seriously, I like this a lot. This more subtle look to it. Especially now during the daytime. I mean, take a look at these bricks. Like we don't have any decisions to make on the mortar color or anything because there is no mortar. There is no albedo sharpness in here anywhere. And like everything just looks good. And if we switch to the old-fashioned rendering style. Okay, so you now do see some sort of like clunking together of some of the normals. Especially on the bricks here. But still. Like we were not talking about the old-fashioned. It's like this. Let's put it to ultra. Wow, wow, wow. Wowie, wowie, wowie. I like it. I want to visit Dragon Throat Valley one more time, which was wonder number 7? Nope. It was not wonder number 7. Dragon Throat Valley. About Dragon Throat Valley. It's 17. Crunchy, I'm not gonna visit you after this. I'm gonna eat lunch, and tonight we're gonna do Angeldust Live, the real playing thing. Okay, we didn't... Did we already visit Dragon Throat Valley with the grass blades and all? Because this looks pretty good. If you ask me, this looks pretty good. But I want to go to the bridge. Yeah, the layering of the glass works pretty well for me. Everything is coming together. We use cartoon influences, but we also don't use cartoon influences. Everything's gonna be great. Yeah, this is what I like. The fact that all of these textures now connect very nicely visually. And I'm not sure if we can get a sun angle where the entire bridge is lit. But so far this already looks really good. What material is this? Gravel. Okay, gravel is another interesting texture. In scare quotes. That we need to do. But everything connects so nicely now. And the water, yeah, the water is something that we need to look into. Also the marble is something we need to look into because it's like the style is clashing. Style is clashing now. Wooden planks not so much, but we can improve the wooden planks. Maybe we can even keep some of the wood grain in there. This was a door, okay. Something to explore in the next video, in the next attempt at making this style work. I think we made some good progress on some of the parts. Some of the parts we got more questions than we got answers. But again, not much of a problem. Let's just keep on working through this. Eventually we'll find something that works, so I'm not too worried about it. It's just taking a lot of time. But once we get the style down, we can just keep on running with it. Close this, and then we can close these terminals. Close, okay. Maybe just one more time, one more look. I really need to go and eat lunch because otherwise I won't have any time left for myself today.
No time to waste, let's go.
Random wonder. Saint Refoir, south. Not sure if we're encountering a lot of blocks that we already did. Okay, so we have bricks. There we go, bricks. And we've got grass and a hedge. We don't have the hedge fund just yet.
Hey, sweet.
Let's head over to the market stalls. Let's see what we can find here. What's this? Reed-roofing? Yeah, reed-roofing. That's also a nice texture to do, potentially. Ooh, I like the grass. I like the look of this grass. Whoa, I'm zooming in, and I'm not sure if this effect works on the live stream, but I like the look of that grass, of those grass blades. If we can get the long grass blades to look like similar or even better, it's going to be such a nice complement to the style. But just the lighting on everything, especially since we, ever since I toned down the diffuse lighting color, it's been so much better. Here's a lot of light coming in, and I think also with the mimics or so, the material is getting changed to gold, so we get a sort of golden grass here, which might be an interesting look to test out in the world, because we could make metallic grass. That might be a fun change. I mean, take a look at the reflections of it. Such a lot of detail. Jorge. And Pops. What was the wonder that I wanted to visit? Oh yeah, at Plixie, the inner courtyard here. Because now, here, you cannot tell me that this doesn't look good. The way that these textures now have the same shading style to them, the bricks and the paving tiles, it makes it so much more consistent. And it makes it, sure, again, it's subdued and it's way less contrasty, but it just looks so good in combination. Here too, like we've got the entire paving, the floor here is all in the same style now, and it just feels like an actual courtyard. The lighting on this is so good. And sure, the roofing tiles instantly attract your attention here now because they've got glossy highlights and they've got the dark lines in between them. But I'm pretty sure we can make something for the roofing tiles that works equally well. But this is just the way that I think we should work. So no forced albedo, no forced lines, just derive our cartoony look from the fact that we bulge and pillow all of the materials and that we have these rigid lines. It's a different style for sure, but it might tie in with something that I might be showing on a future live stream. And here, the grass blades, the style is absolutely perfect. I like it, I love it. So now we would need to do the cobblestones and all of the other stones that are facing bricks. We need to find solutions, but solutions can be found. I believe in that. I'm a believer in solutions. If I can hand draw normals for a wooden plank for 8 hours, I can find solutions to the other problems. That's just the way it goes. Apparently we can get into this building. Somehow. Okay. Takes too much to go in there. But re-roofing might be another interesting one to do. Plaster. But I like the brickwork. Here, this looks good. This looks good. With the grass blades in between. I think this is finally coming together. Here again. You can, like, the grass definitely has a different feel to it. Looking good. I'm happy. I'm happy. And it's time for lunch. Seriously. And maybe this ties into what Pixar and Disney and all of those animation companies already know. You don't need... what do you not need? Style ID. Where should I put this? Right. Let me quickly check what's in this folder. Okay. I didn't really want to dox anything. I'm not sure if there were password files in that folder, so here we are. Boop. Anyway, so maybe Disney, cheese and bread time, yes. Maybe Disney and Pixar, they already know this, that you don't need, for a cartoony style, you don't need like super detailed realistic textures. You don't even maybe not need a lot of cartooniness to the textures themselves. It's the context in which you place them. A lot of repetition, straight lines, that's already maybe cartoony enough with a bit of a pillow effect. I love the style. I like this. I'm definitely a fan of what I've seen at Explixi and the other builds just now. So maybe that's a style that I will be exploring in the future. You'll count the minutes till I see me again. Yeah, it's about what is it? 4 hours, 5 hours, and then it will be Angeldust Live with a different style to it, different vibe to it. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this like continued ride into, or is it a descent into madness? You decide. But it's the long slide into oblivion. I have no idea, but it's looking good. I like what I see, and I think we are starting to get a better grasp on what makes things look good. And I think Angeldust and this remastering process also shows that it's not so much a matter of having super awesome textures, but it's what you do with them. Like the builds themselves, Explixi, Neferspi, but also the other ones that we took a look at, Dreamasidia. The builds themselves draw attention instead of the textures. And I think that's a very good point. Giving players the building blocks that are not like super impressive by themselves, and building something better out of the building blocks. Maybe that's the philosophy here. We'll see where we end up with this style ID, because maybe we run into different problems altogether. But for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in a few hours. Angeldust Live, it's the regular show where we play the game, which might be more interesting than just watching me draw textures. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll hope to see you again in about 5 hours. I'll see you later. Bye bye. And now I need to click on this button, so see you later. Bye.